side. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna stop me. No
2, 1, go. Three, two, one, go. Three, two, one, go.
Come into my world if you wanna see some action. Enter my zone, shut down
Well, good afternoon and welcome into the North American Esports World Cup Qualifiers 2025. I'm Goj. I'm going to be hosting and casting with the wonderful, the illustrious Spider Tiff. I am so pumped to get into the games today, Tiff. 7 more teams making it to Riyadh.
I mean, this is the final 7, right? We've already seen the other regions that have gone down away and sealed their tickets over across to Riyadh. And I cannot imagine, because we were looking at the qualifiers prior to this, Goj, and this lobby, it's stacked.
Yeah, it's stacked. I don't know who's going to make it. I think there's a lot of underdogs that absolutely could nab one of those last couple spots. And I'm really excited to get into the games, because at the end of the day, it's just about how you perform on game day. And well, today's the day. I don't care how many scrims you've played in, how many warm-up tournaments, how many qualifiers. It's all about performing today. Let's take a look at the schedule for today. We are going to be playing 8 maps, and here's a look at how we're going to space them out. About 30 minutes apiece between them. The map's a bit shorter than that. A couple breaks in between, let the players get some water at the very least, because, well, they're going to be parched after a sweaty day today on Rebirth Island. But yes, a total of 8 games. So if you've been watching any of our other qualifiers through a number of our different players' perspectives, today is going to look a little bit different with a total of 8 games. Now, you've seen this in other qualifiers. The big thing about these 8 games, Tiff, is that we've got point multipliers, a little bit different than some of the other games out there. In Warzone, we've got kill multipliers, which means if you win a map, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have the highest score on that map. It just means that all of the kills that you get in that map are going to get a 1.6x multiplier, with 2nd through 5th 1.4, 6th through 10th 1.2, and anything lower than that, you're just getting your kills. But Tiff, talk to me about some of the teams we've got today, because we are stacked in this lobby, like you said, and a lot of great ores being represented today.
Oh, we have some massive ores, and I'm just sitting here smiling, because I'm like, this is insane that we have this many high caliber squads that are going to be duking it out, and only 7 get to actually travel over to Riyadh to compete for an enormous amount of money, a huge trophy. But Team Unrational right there on the bottom center, of course, is going to be a really interesting squad. They have Knight, who played under Twisted Minds at last year's EWC, who is known to absolutely throw down in Resurgence. So I'm excited to see what he can do alongside Adrian and Unrational himself. But then you have the big orgs at the top, some of those club teams, right? 100 Thieves per se. Now that roster is actually going to be super sick, because it's Blast, Gabe Kuhn, Skullface, and they're coached by Ebates, who's a former pro as well. And usually he's he who shall not be named. And I asked him, I was like, Goj, can you give us some details about what your squad is going to be bringing to the table today? He goes, are you casting, Tiffany? Are you? And I was like, yeah, I should have lied. He goes, I can't tell you anything.
Yeah, look, these teams don't want to give away their strategies, because here's the interesting thing. We've had a chance to watch a bunch of scrims behind the scenes, but if you all paid attention during the European qualifiers casted by Dan and Enigma, some of the teams that have been landing in a certain spot on the map during all of those scrims show up and all drop headquarters. The problem with that, 3 teams dropping headquarters on Rebirth Island, none of the teams make it to land. It was unbelievable. So yes, I expect some secret strats, but I hope that some of those secret strats don't end up biting you in the behind as you move on and try to make it to the land finals. A couple other great teams, of course. One of the teams I have to shout out is an underdog, underhorse, dark horse team, whatever you want to call them. It's that big man Scythe and Anxiety roster. Had a chance to talk to them, Tiff. These are brand new players to the competitive scene to some degree. These 3 players, though, have been playing together for the last 2.5 years. The interesting thing about this team is that Anxiety turned 18 in the last couple months, so he's just now able to play in some of these big competitive tournaments, including this one. A lot of folks looking down on them, a lot of folks saying, who are you again? And they're here to prove that they've paved a way to not only land, but paved a way to be one of the top teams in the area in general here in Warzone. Anxiety even told me, he said, my team is probably the best I could ask for, because they basically took me under their wings, and made me the player I am today. Talk about a wholesome story for this trio. They got 3rd in the open and closed quals into our qual finals today. I'm really curious if they're going to qual. I think most people think they are. They're looking really clean on the map. And one of the things they said, look, we'll talk about it. We talk about drop spots. They said they're going Stronghold. And without the Falcons playing today, because they auto-qualled, yes, that's right. You're not going to see Shifty, Biffle, or Hisoka today. They made a whole documentary around Hisoka and the Falcons. You're not going to see them today. They made it to the finals already. So Stronghold wide open for the taking. And Team Scythe, they said, hey, that's where we're headed today, Tiff.
I don't blame them. You're going to think they're going to have the Falcons nest over at EWC, and they're already poised to get straight into it, because a lot of people in chat will be asking where they are, and we will humbly remind you. But I love that you're kind of tying the story of Anxiety from Team Big Man, trying to kind of pave that way Because you bring up the documentary that we just dropped, that Level Up EWC. The first episode is focused like on Hisoka himself. Now, you and I, we had been casting over Hisoka and a couple of other players that kind of came up during the Caldera era just a couple of years ago. But that is essentially what this new era of players are looking to emulate. And could they make it to the big stage, maybe win a map? That's where you start to develop those even better storylines. And who knows? Maybe they take it all the way. Maybe they grab a top 5 on LAN. I'd love to see it.
I think it's certainly possible. They're extremely talented, but we can't talk about Rebirth Island. We can't talk about EWC without talking about Twisted Minds. This roster is unbelievably phenomenal over the course of all these scrims, all of the qualifiers. Came in second through the qualifiers to get to this stage. That's, of course, Aiden, Almond, and Z-Smith. So, yes, they made a roster change from last year where they had a very strong game, strong tournament at EWC playing with Knight. They end up picking up former Fnatic Almond, one of the best in the biz, and this trio is looking dominant on the map. And one of the interesting things about this team is they've been dropping the same spot since last year. They haven't moved at all. Aiden said, hey, anybody want to chow us? I don't think so. We've been dominating. They're kind of landing on the water side of Factory over at Big Red. They spread out along the line of the water because they absolutely can. Nobody is contesting them, but it is time for game 1. We can talk about drop spots all day. We can talk about where people landing, where they're going to go, but let's see what happens on the map. And of course, we've got an amazing spectator to make sure that we get to see all of that action with a fairly centrally located zone to start, Tiff.
Look, and we didn't even talk about Virtus Pro, and look at the chow right here from Dongy. He was tweeting out about how he was so ready for doing this. Now, Noobs and Dongy, they have been reaping all of the Resurgence tournaments over the past couple of months as a dynamic duo. Now, granted, that was over on Area 99, but Rebirth Island has been in Call of Duty for so long that it's just like returning home. So adding Sage into the mix, plus the domination of closed quals from this trio, I expect big things on this.
Yeah, quick shout about that team. Of course, they always land chemical and nobody's contesting them. Smart plays. But speaking of contest, here's an early contest. And well, this one was to be expected. This is Bio. And where has S8UL been landing throughout the course of every single event? Here. And this time contested yet again from Vombot & Co. And they are getting the better of their opponents quite quickly to wipe the third on the run. As a reminder, folks, it's going to move quick here on Rebirth Island. Resurgence, a little bit different animal than Big Map BR. And because of that, usually you have an anchor. With two teams dropping in the same spot, this third player is just trying to stay alive so his team can respawn. Of course, at the end of the third circle is when that respawn will stop. And it does look like, by the way, Tiff, according to our overlay here, one team has been full wiped already. I'm not sure who it is, but we'll try to get a read on who that is, see who started off not so hot.
Ooh, speaking of that, you can already see more players getting mixy over here. Loadout trying to come through, but we have LOM who is just saying, I don't even care, bro. I am going to chow this straight on over. Down you have Sway. We want to make sure that that Resurgence timer is going to be up and you have all 3 players back into the mix. So I like this. If you are going to get chased, you can just hold this angle and grab another kill. Now that is a team in particular that actually Repulse himself said, I think it's going to be in the top 7.
Yeah, well, top 7, a long way to go till we get there, but it's absolutely possible for all of these teams. And already some really early engagements and anxiety. We were talking about him just a moment ago, just turned 18. Gets wiped by J-Tech. I believe the team's still alive and on the map. As you can still see, top center, 13 out of 14 teams still on the map with tons of kills following in that kill feed on the left-hand side. A lot of action all over the map. But yes, Stronghold, not completely uncontested. If we take a look at it, it looks like it's Flank Squad that is trying to contest this young gun team trying to make a name for themselves versus this team of thirds. Flank Squad on the other side, a team that came together over the course of, well, just trying to figure out who they could play with. They were a third on many different teams. They all said, why don't we just play together? It's worked out for them. They made it here today. We swing over though, APG on your screen, Jackal, Raul, DJ Moss. Another fantastic trio playing top prison. This is where they've been playing throughout the course of all scrims. Nothing changed for them. It looks like they've stabilized on the map. As still kills come flying in that kill feed, but the battle for prison is one that we always see. A nice found an angle, pushing in, finds one, easy cleanup. Jackal, Raul both going down. Where is the third? We have lost an entire another team And it doesn't look like it's APG, albeit they are in trouble. Look at the map on the left-hand side. Blue 8, that's DJ Moss. If he gets wiped here before his teammates come back in, and I believe he was, APG out of here. If you're an APG fan, you are shaking your head saying, Top Prison, it's deadly, it's gross, and it's getting mixy.
Out the start you want with AG Global moving on in. Raiden and Scummin are going to pick apart. You can see Z Smith falling here. Now Adrian Knight, Unrational. We got to highlight this squad at the top of the show, albeit very briefly. I think they're incredibly formidable. You talked about Knight and the Twisted Minds roster and how strong they performed on LAN previously. That roster swap up, I think this can be a really interesting squad, but dominating Prison so central here on Rebirth Island. Now, granted, we're not on the roof. We're holding the inside and still tap us way. Devo running into some issues. Noobs, Dongy, Sage, Virtus, Pro. Amongst 3 squads, the action's not going to stop here.
Yeah, it's a pretty classic move here from VP. Going to swing out onto the water side and look to clean up some of these teams that they think are freebies. And speaking of what some people believe to be freebies, a couple keyboard and mouse players. The problem is it's Breadman and Huskers, of course, picking up Lovedent as their third. And they just barely snuck into these qualifiers. But there are some folks keeping them inside the top 7 on their categories. I'm looking at you, Crinks. I heard you. They're saying that the senior citizens, aka Team Huskers, on your screen, you're going to see them on LAN. They got a lot of work to do. Keyboard and mouse players, they get a lot of bad slack, but if you can hit your shots, you're going to be looking clean. Unfortunately, with 2 down, it looks like they're third. I believe that might be Lovedent is going to be able to try to get out of here just to try to keep his team on the map.
Look, if you've got to push into the low area of Prison, I don't blame you. Get that resurgence timer down, find some of those supply crates, open them up, get that timer through down, but SAUL, they're still going through it. Trick up the staircase, but seems like the other duo are just biding their time. Virtus Pro, one of the scariest teams in the lobby, which is the crazy thing to stay in such a stacked caliber. You can see how they are working together, just kind of moving towards, but you got to keep your eyes on Ant. He does pick up Dongy, so that's a big win, but Noobs is trying to cut him down, does get him.
Yeah, he does get him. It does look like Lovedent was able to stay alive just long enough to allow, I believe, Huskers and or Breadman to get back onto the map, so they're not fully out of it, and that's exactly what's happening. As you can see, Breadman is in the kill feed. But this VP roster has just about wiped everybody out on the northeast side of the map. This is a pretty, case in point for what they've been able to do over the last several events leading up to this event. You got to remember, they won the qualifiers by like 100 points. It was unbelievable how much they slammed the lobbies. This one a bit more stacked. It's looking like a lot of the same. Plenty of kills between the 3 of them. I want to say 8 or so overall. Ooh. And with that, they've taken this kind of northeast side of the map. The only team up here with them is SAUL, and they're going to slowly work their way in based on this next zone. But living quarters now we go, because there's plenty of teams in this area. As you can see, a quick look at 100 Thieves who have moved over into the mix here. Blast, Gabe moving as a unit. They're going to be moving up to try to play around living quarters in these tents. They know a lot of zones in here. This one, though, looking like it's going to head more central.
Oh, see, I'm so excited about 100 Thieves. We were talking about them early on with Ebates being their coach here. Blast currently on 3. He was talking specifically about Gabe, saying that man just wins his ones. They are not scared of any fights when it comes to Rebirth. But for JTech, you do have to be weary here, considering we are down to just yourself. And we need to see, can we get all 3 back in it? But for Braxton sitting on 2, you can see there's not really good angles that you've got to work with. Huskers just above on the right, about to swing the duo of Noobs and Dongy, and he's gone. He's gone.
Yeah, he is Dongy. You chow Dongy, usually you lose, but if you can chow him where he doesn't shoot back, bang, Dongy goes down. Noobs and Sage, of course, still alive. You got to remember, this resurgence timer will end at the end of the 3rd circle, so we still have plenty of time. They didn't even have to get the res here, but they feel like it's safe enough, because guess what? You can see Sage is their anchor, playing back in Chemical on edge of zone, allowing these 2 to get a bit more mixy, play for kills as they are into the double digits on kills, and they're going to continue to look for more. Now, it does look like Team Unrational, who changed up their drop spot going into scrims, has made their move for Prison and stabilized in the very first map. And with that, they've got a fairly powerful position inside this zone and inside a ton of cover. Now, of course, Prison is so big, they can't hold it themselves completely, but they can hold this side, which is a good side to hold, with a really strong team on the outside of the zone. Gonna have to work their way in through the bottom floor, most likely, straight into what will look like it will be at least a part of SAUL. On the bottom floor, of course, we've got Team Unrational here on the mid floor, and then the roof really not taken apart by anybody. Looks like rated as per the usual, playing overlook position on top Prison. There's a couple of people get punished in rotation. The rubber meets the road here. in not too long here, Tiff.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I'm not too worried about VP making their rotation on out, but a lot of teams that are working on their comeback have already invested their time towards Docks. But if you're going to find yourself on top of control for JTech, Clumsy, and Flank, that hodgepodge roster you were talking about that have come together to try and hit a last-minute qual for EWC, this is a strong performance. Sure, you want to make sure you've got at least 5 to 10 kills to make the most out of the multipliers, but you keep that angle onto Dock itself, the boat as well, and just everyone that's looking for a rotate up. Big Man's team is going to find themselves be difficult. Do you see Anxiety's face kind of just bopping around on that side?
And it does look like VP's lost a couple of their players, and they're third, going to try to keep everybody alive. But Twisted Minds haven't had a chance to tune into them too much. They've been hanging out for a while on Waterside, and finally moving their way into prison, seeing an opening to rotate in and seeing where the zone's headed. They know they have to move to the central part of the map, try to make a play. Braxton on the other side trying to play spoiler. RPG in trouble, as that is Adrian and Unrational down, and maybe a full team of 3. That is a wipe on Team Unrational. They fall early. They still get a 1.2x multiplier in 10th overall, but a frustrating one when they were in such a powerful position. They elect to go low, get punished for it. Brax putting on a show for us right now. We'll tune back into them in just a second, because guess what? Twisted Minds coming in and saying, you cleaned up a team that was in our way? Thank you. How about we wipe you? And now S8UL is on the run. Feel like they have a power position on the backside. Twisted Minds know they have player advantage. They're pushing the equation. They are not going to let all 3 of these players get out for free, and they're going to at least pick up 2, and they're trying to go for the wipe.
I love that Trick stays back from S8UL to try and stop the bleeding so the other players can get on out. But Almond, Z-Smith, and Aiden just keep charging forward as kind of this death ball of energy, and it's really hard to combat all 3 players. But look at this. Big Man finds Huskers and some lurkers in the water, picks up even more kills, dives on in, said, no, bro, you're not getting away, and that's a full wipe onto Senior Citizens.
Look, I told you, team side, Big Man, Anxiety, you gotta watch out for him. Anxiety just turned 18, could start competing in these events, and already they've made their way into the top 8 on this map with a sizable amount of kills as well. Big Man 5 by himself, looking at probably double digits between the 3 of them. So we swing over to Tappa, Sway, and Devo, a little bit of an underdog as well, but a strong team. When they get moving, it's hard to stop them. It's just a matter of that kind of roller coaster of inconsistency we've seen from that trio, but in first map, it's looking pretty good. We're going to swing back over to 100 Thieves, who is somehow mostly restabilized. Of course, down blast. And obviously, look, our fourth circle is already beginning to move here in about 10 seconds. Our resurgence timer is closed. Yeah, did you blink? These maps go blazing fast, so you got to be prepared for it. And 100 Thieves now with only 2 players. It looks like S8UL in the water, lurking, trying to play for a couple more multipliers. Top 5 will get you 1.4. But Big Man and Co still trying to put some bullets down range. Maybe pick up a couple of these in transition, waiting for the final 5 to then make another move, as they've got a decent spot in this zone.
All I know is that Big Man saw Senior Citizens doing some water aerobics out here, and now he sees Sukra across the way doing the same thing. And he's just itching, wanting to go take them out, but 10x,
oh my
10x
gosh,
goes massive and focuses straight onto Twisted Minds, and he's on 9 looking for double digits. Okay, pull out the sniper, show us something.
13th in quals from Puerto Rico. This trio, look, they've surprised some folks in the past, and they surprised Twisted Minds, taking 2 out of 3 down. Unfortunately, Big Man is waiting, lurking, already early rotated, picks up a couple in transition, but this is huge for a lot of these teams in kind of that 6th all the way down to 14th category, because Twisted Minds and VP both deeply in trouble. Our top 2 teams on paper, our top 2 teams in any sort of a predictions list, both in trouble, with Aiden just barely making it to top 5. So you got to remember, he did get the 1.4x multi, but we're into a fight. Anxiety versus 100 Thieves. Who's going to get the win? They've got player advantage. It is all Scythe. Big Man, Anxiety. We gave him the hype for good reason. Top 4, a ton of kills across the 3 of them, holding this rotation. They've got a really good chance to win this one, especially because they have player advantage, and down goes Twisted Minds. They are taking out the big dogs, as JTech, Clumsy, and Flanked also still in this, picking up Aiden to wipe out one of the final top teams. We are down to the top 3 teams, Tiff, and we're playing around this ship. This is going to be fun here on Water's Edge, as we see the rotating zone does spell, I guess, decent for S8UL. Under the water playing zone, they can get there. It's just a matter of getting the win.
Nah, I love this. We're into that 1.4x multiplier, and through the fire, through the flames, Scythe gets cut down from the hands of Flanked and Clumsy. Now, this is the squad that was playing from Control Center and had actually moved on up when they saw the circle pull. But look at that mini-map on the left-hand side. One member of this squad had already rotated. It's going to be J-Tech. He's down, he's out, and Clumsy and Flanked, the duo that are going to have to piece together S8UL and Anxiety, who has been kind of all over the place. But J-Tech, oh, are we getting back up? We are.
Yeah,
we're
that's
full
huge.
3.
Yeah, high ground play there is massive to be able to play, maintain a player advantage. You got to remember it's now a 3v2v2. So anytime you have a slight advantage, you've got to use it effectively. And one of the advantages they have is not only high ground, but also now player advantage. They've got the angles, they've got the overlook, one after the other getting picked up and transition. This is going to be a great game for all 3 of these teams, but only one team will get the 1.6x multi.
Ooh.
And be the title of the first winner here in our North American qualifiers for Esports World Cup. It's got to be this team. It would be an absolute sell if it wasn't, and they're going to pick up the extra points for it as well. Sometimes these teams will just say, I'm going to die to gas so you don't get the extra points, but this time they come flying in. They grab the kills. They grab the win. Did you have them on your list? You should. FJC, your winners of our very first map. And of course, there's a big win for Flanked, Clumsy, and J-Tech. A strong trio, a trio of golden thirds, if you will, a trio that didn't know who they were playing with until right before the qualifiers, and they made it here today, down in, like, I want to say 11th overall, and then guess what, Tiff? Winning first map with a ton of kills, playing hyper aggressive, taking down the top teams. Looking clean today.
Look, that's what you want. Come out map number 1, take the win. I'm not sure how many kills they were able to use alongside that 1.6x multiplier, but think of the other squads that we saw that had a ton of kills. I'm talking 10x in particular that may have just gotten to that 1.4x multi that will do dividends for them on that overall leaderboard. But the confidence that comes with an overall map win, knowing that you're macro and positioning for that end game to let those final kills come through and secure that early rotate as that circle shifted, it was just done exceptionally well by a team that you called a team of golden thirds. That's some chemistry right there, regardless.
It's some chemistry that they're able to pull together at the last second. I really like this team. Been casting over Flanked in particular for a very long time. He somehow always finds a way, and they do it in the very first map. Folks, I'm going to let you chew on something here going into the break. We're going to be coming back with map 2, but you got to remember our average cutoff for 7th is about 115 points as you're looking for to maybe make sure that you make land, all right? Team of the tops, this team at the top, they've already done about a third of that in the very first map. Is my guess at the very least. Do some math on your own during the break, folks. Don't go anywhere. Map 2 right around the corner. Welcome back to the North American Esports World Cup Qualifiers 2025. We've already played one map, Tiff, and it was spicy to say the least. And I say that for multiple reasons. One, of course, we had some maybe underdog teams that qualified near the bottom of our 14-team list that dominated the top of the leaderboard in this first one. But the other thing, Tiff, I was watching some clips and some streams during the break, and we got a lot of trash talk behind the scenes too. So, Tiff, take me through this leaderboard. Let's see where people are at. And I think action's going to speak louder than words.
Look, you are already talking about FJC having a substantial first game in terms of kills, coupled with that 1.6x multiplier. 28.8 points is what they're going to gather for themselves after just one map. And if you think about that stat line you were talking about, they're looking for 115 at the bare minimum to hit top 7 at the end of 8 games. Well, Twisted Minds, Velos, Virtus Pro, Scythe. I mean, these are all really solid starts. S8UL top 3 in map number 1, getting 15 points. But we do have some heavy hitting rosters that we talked about at the top of the show, like 100 Thieves, AG Global, squads that we were thinking would be maybe coming out to a better start per se. Now, granted, it's just one game. We have 7 more to go. Anything can happen at this point. But for now, Virtus Pro, Twisted Minds, FJC, kind of in that realm that we were thinking of in particular. Now, as I say that, you watched clips. I want to hear all of the chaos that you learned, but also I was on the timeline listening to what people were talking about, because that's my favorite thing. Call of Duty, the banter that happens between squads. They said, it's Omeka, right? These are the teams not qualifying for EWC today. S8UL, I'm sorry, they were in top 3 after map number 1.
Yeah,
JTech, I'm sorry, they won with 28.8 points. And someone goes, JTech sleeper qual, I know ball.
Apparently you do.
I see
you. My goodness. Look, not only did they dominate, they just played the map really well. Looking back on the way they played, they were so focused on taking that high ground position. Once they figured out the other couple teams that were still alive were down on that low ground by the ship. Once you're able to take high ground, what are you going to do? Rotate up the stairs? I mean, this isn't going to work for you ever. And they had player advantage, perfect execution. They were basically handed the in-game perfectly, and they were able to execute because they were all talented. So I really respect their play. I really respect the way they were able to execute, but it also was their map to win, and they were able to do it. So when they were given the present right there on the silver platter, they were able to execute in that game. Now, yeah, there was a lot of trash talk, and I'm not going to call people out in particular, but of course, Braxton, I will give you a quick shout. He did 1v3 all of Team Unrational and had a few words to say about it. And hey, good on you, man. You get a 1v3 in a lobby of this caliber? Heck yeah, why not? Let's see what you're able to do in the next couple, because S8UL, they were not on a lot of teams' list, a lot of people's list for qualling, and you're right, they had a great game as well.
They did, and honestly, I've been a huge fan of Riyadh. I've actually deemed him as one of the players that just when you have him on a roster, it's so fun to hear the comms and the way that they can bring together. But you also realize Braxton and Empathy Trick have such storied chemistry together on a roster, and then you kind of bring in Riyadh, you know they're going to be doing substantial. So bringing it in to map number 2. If you did not perform well in game number 1, well, time to step it up.
Yeah, one quick thing. We saw a couple zeros, by the way, on that overall leaderboard. One of them, a little bit unsuspecting. They were on a couple people's list to qualify. That's that Believe team with 0 score. Yeah, watch out for them. They must have been the first team to be fully eliminated right at the beginning, but it looks like contested in Stronghold, Anxiety, Scythe, Big Man. Looking to make quick work of the team I was talking about on the other side. This is the reason why. Will they answer back in kind? Big Man in trouble? No. He's able to pick up 1. Going to be trading out several, and it does look like Scythe was able to get back onto the map, so it's not all she wrote if Big Man does fall. But now we're seeing a full storyline of what happened. It was this trio, Scythe, Big Man, Anxiety, that wiped this Believe team off rip because they're challenging each other on drop in Stronghold. But it's not the only person here. Allman just here to play a little bit of spoiler, and it's working for him. He's got a kill, and he's taken out one of the members of Big Man Scythe Anxiety, because Twisted Minds, they get a little mixy. When you're not contested, you can send one out, but Big Man does have an answer. Oh, wait. Because of Allman playing spoiler, Scopes comes in and cleans up the kill.
Scopes
Talk about
nah.
a start.
Yeah, that's not what you want to have happen, right? You do not want to give up any angle that you have from the back, especially if you're contesting off drop. You know Scopes and co are going to come back and be so aggressive and say, you know what, this is personal now at this point. I don't even care. It's resurgence. Someone's going to bring me back, but I am throwing my life away to destroy you. Regardless, Anxiety, Scythe, Big Man, all 3 back up have a couple kills, but this elongated fight is just dragging on and has actually moved on over.
Yeah, here we go. And again, this map looking a little bit different than the last one. We did notice, by the way, this is going to be a battle for likely Stronghold. If I remember correctly, I believe our map did show a very southwestern side of this map. This first circle is cutting Prison off in half. The first circle, folks, it's going to be a battle for Stronghold. So already, I think some teams going to try to relocate there based on the way these fights are happening. Some of our squads are a little bit more able and willing to change drop spots based on a circle like this. Other teams, VP included, are going to continue to land Chemical even though there's nobody else landing there. And it's not even kind of in the zone. They're just going to get their loot and prepare for what's next. But again, another early fight this time. Guess who it is? The team at the top of the leaderboard coming in and playing Spoiler for Anxiety & Co. And it looks like it's just Scythe alive as Big Man finally flies back in. But the team at the top's trying to stay at the top by wiping one of the other top 5 teams from the first map and taking Stronghold early.
J-Tech here. Alongside, just kind of looking over. You can see Flanked has moved on out, and they just want to anchor on back. So jumping on board with Flanked in particular. Takes down Believe, swings scopes, can't get the finishing touch, does! Grabs 2.
Jeez.
I love that out of Flanked. Now, you got to think about it this way. Flanked has always been in the mix, right, when it comes to competitive Warzone. Travels out to Vegas, competes in World Series of Warzone on LAN, gets in, what, the top 5 goes? Like, we cannot keep underestimating Flanked on any roster.
Yeah, no, absolutely. When it matters most, he's there. And the classic motto of the Esports World Cup, nothing given, everything earned. Flank's certainly trying to earn it today. But we're going to swing over to Tenix, who's having a nice game in the first one, able to get the better of his opponent by 1 single HP with a little bit of help from his teammates. With some nice follow-up, you can see Raul coming swinging in from the backside, but unfortunately, we lose, I believe, most of that team, if not all of that team. I think we've got 1 player left just trying to make it in. So we swing back to Raul, DJ Moss, and Jackal, who are the only other team that has 0 points on the leaderboard. APG really have to step it up after landing top Prison. Like I said, this is the first circle. Half of Prison is in the gas. Yeah, this is going to be a doozy, and everyone battling for Stronghold. It does mean that some of these fringe teams already fully eliminated. We see 2 teams off the map already. So we swing over to the senior citizens on your screen right now. Breadman, Huskers, loved it. Playing the edge of Prison, trying to find an angle to rotate to New. We are headed to the furthest reaching points of this map already, Tiff.
It's going to be a heck of a rotation from this squad, but you mentioned 2 teams already fallen. One of them in particular is Team Unrational. I would not have anticipated them to fall this early, and for Huskers, Breadman, Ant here, the senior citizens, you've got to fight for your life. And Bread picks up 3. Now, something in particular you had mentioned is that 2 of those players are keyboard and mouse. Now, usually I wouldn't harp on this, but Resurgence, with those fights being such close range, you almost find yourself having to preemptively shoot every corner and just get ahead of a roller player. We're not going to start that discussion regardless. These are stellar squads. Wait, you know what? Yeah, I'll let you start it right now because we've got some
If they win a map, I'll start it. I mean, one of the small boons of the keyboard and mouse players usually is the sniping prowess, and of course, all 3 of these players really good at it. But the 2 on keyboard and mouse, great at it. Unfortunately, 100 Thieves better at rotations, and frankly, they didn't have to rotate anywhere. They've been sitting in the same building since the very beginning. They got the right zone, and they're cleaning up teams that are rotating into them. That's control, a powerful position inside this zone with everybody rotating to them. It's going to be a hard fight to take, and so they intend to swing through. It looks like now Grandma's, DJ Moss, APG looking to better their score. They had 0. Who's there? VP. It's not even close because where else would VP be? They had to rotate all the way down from Chemical along that far southern side, of the map to get to this point. So they've cleaned up the southern side of the map, rotating all the way over to New. We're in the second circle and a ton of kills exchanging hands on rotation because these teams didn't change their drop spots and are having to run the entirety of this Rebirth Island.
All for Flanked here. On top, taking a big fight, correct on 4, and we got some water area, right? We knew this was gonna happen, especially pulling all the way out till Stronghold. Flank just has to bide his time. On 5, we know they got 28.8 points in map number 1, but they would like to carry on that momentum. And Clumsy now circling alongside Ant from a different squad, but it's Tappa and Sway in the dead center. Will we see them fall here if they get sandwiched in? Tappa, no blades.
A lot of people in the water right now because there's not much land to work with. Resurgence timer is still on, by the way. This feels like in-game already because of the zone that we pulled. An absolutely utter atrocity of a circle. But these teams have seen it. We've seen it a couple times in quals and a couple times in scrims. They try to figure out how to play it, and the only way to play it right now is just fight in the water. Breadman able to get the better of his opponent and potentially pick up Lovedon. It's actually working quite well for Senior Citizens to play way outside on the edge of zone. The question is, who was able to lock down some of the power positions in Stronghold? That's what I'm paying attention to, as one of our top players is trying to get some freebies in the water. Bread's on 5, just swimming along like a shark, shooting fish in the barrel with the fish. I don't know what's going on over there, but it's working well for him.
Well, Sway's going back. Sway is committed at this point. Remember when I said at the start of this match when things get personal and that was Scopes? Well, Sway said, nah. I'm coming for you, Breadman. And you see Virtus Pro across the way, Twisted Minds, who couldn't get into that end gaming map number 1, want to be able to make that happen, but there's a good chance that you're going to run into VP. Now, every time we get on board with VP Goj, there's something in particular that Donnie is doing. He's using those weapon trading stations to get UAVs and keep that information coming.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That information absolutely king. And well, if you've got information that somebody's climbing a ladder and they can't shoot back, well, that works out well for you. That's 1 down. Should be a cleanup if you can find him in the water. See an 8-dog. And I'm impressed. Big Man Scythe, Anxiety, they've been able to restabilize. This is their POI. This is where they drop. And they're holding it quite well, even with some early frustrations with some of their opponents. Pushing out Lil Mario, trying to, I don't know, punch somebody in the face. Instead, Big Man's just going to shoot him with an LC-10 and send him on his way. This should be a full team wipe against this squad. Again, Resurgence timer is not closed yet. All these teams can technically come back onto the map except for Squad 12, who just got full wiped. Circle now closing. We should see that timer dwindle down quite quickly here in the next minute or so. But Anxiety, Big Man Psych, looking in final form, looking like the final boss here in Stronghold, as it should be if the circle is ending on the POI that you drop in.
Well, Devo just ended Senior Citizens' run here in map number 2, and job's not finished for them because they want to keep on moving. Squad number 4, that's going to be AG Global, also wiped off the face of the map, and JTech, your winners of map number 1, starting to whittle their way into the top half of this lobby, looking for even more kills. Like, I don't even know what's happening underneath this area. Just don't come here.
What am I watching right now? This atrocity of a circle has lent itself to a water fight that, you know, I think there was many jokes throughout the course of many different large competitions, EWC included, where I was a big fan of the water fights. I am, if there's like one big one per map. This is like the entire map is playing in the water, at least half the map, because nearly half the map is now fully eliminated off this map as our Resurgence time has closed. With only 8 teams on the map now that our Resurgence is closed, there's a lot more room to work with on land, as well as the water being a bit more open as well. The teams that have stabilized, though, Twisted Minds in purple, VP on your screen right now in red. These are 2 of our top teams on paper, looking to better their scores from the first map and try to work their way up to the leaderboard. Now they've got a power position on zone, on spawn, trying to figure out where to go from here. And it looks like they're just trying to clean up this last player. I think that's Flank that's inside their building. Don't know if it's the last player for the team or not, but it is the last player on land, and it's looking like it might be. And you can see there's JTech and Clumsy. So Flanked might be in a building somewhere, trapped by VP and Twisted Minds. 2 teammates are lurking in the water. This big man's just trying to clean up anybody in the water that he can find. And one of those is going to be Believe, the team that's been landing on him already the first 2 maps, yet again being punished by the Young Gun trio trying to prove themselves.
Yeah, this is just what Anxiety was doing in map number 1. He was playing alongside the boat and just kicking everyone out of the water. Scopes was just lurking on the ladder and has already swam out into the distance on his open water swim. He is able to evade Anxiety for now, but will likely have to return unless he can get on land and rotate in a different way.
S8UL has also restabilized. They rotated a Stronghold very early. As a reminder, we do see Twisted Minds finally cut down Flanked. His 2 teammates, remember, they're looking in the water. They're hanging out. They should be here trying to make it to the top 5 after some early eliminations. They're going to be looking pretty strong. Twisted Minds has got some high ground to work with. Now look at this zone pull. All those water creatures that are, some of them are dead, some still alive, are going to have to come back to land, as yet again, throughout the course of many different events, we have seen Living Quarters be one of the kind of majority final circles, oftentimes zoned in here, and this one is no different. All the way back to Living Quarters, all on land. If you can find a good position to catch people rotating, this could be a huge boon for VP as they swing up on what looks like S8UL already holding down this building. They want the edge of this building, and they want to wipe this team ASAP.
They're patient about it, though. Dongy just kind of listening. You've got Noobs prone as well. Sage off to the right, but Trick, Ryda, Brax, they were in that top 3. They catch angles onto J-Tech. Elsewhere, we see that Team Believe has fallen. It's official, and sure, that respawn protection will keep you alive and let you hit the ground, but you're someone else's problem now, because Team Big Man across the way is going to be a really interesting fight. Now, it's not going to be isolated, because you do have Virtus Pro just behind them that are still wanting to lay claim to this, and Noobs is going to open things up with a knock onto Clumsy, because you've got people rotating in from the rear.
Well, don't let all this crazy distraction on the low ground distract from the fact that, look at the kill feed. 100 Thieves has the high ground, just waiting for these teams to eliminate each other, and that's exactly what's happening. VP making quick work of S8UL. Brax had a couple words for his opponents with Team Unrational. Not a lot of words likely for Virtus Pro as they come in and clean sweep that squad, not trading a single thing. The high ground Reapers, though. Twisted Minds, yes, and 100 Thieves. They have a ton of kills. Watch out for those two teams on the high ground. Here's the team on the low ground. VP in a little bit of trouble on low, firing back though on all cylinders. Noobs going down, Donkey in trouble, Sage also in trouble. 100 Thieves played the high ground perfectly, and because of it, they're gonna get paid in a ton of points and an amazing multiplier. 1.4 already achieved. Looking for that 1.6 if they can win this map. Sage somehow still alive, and Twisted Minds has ultimate high, has final zone. This is a huge boon for them, but both of these two teams, and VP for that matter, are going to be at the top of the leaderboard in this game, and maybe overall at the end of it, as we finally see the third part of VP, Sage, out of here. It's gonna be 100 Thieves versus Twisted Minds, and it's looking like Twisted Minds has the advantage in a 3v2.
Well, Skull goes ahead and gets the knock straight onto Z-Smid. Almond grabs Skull. So here's the deal. We've got trades on either side, and it's just down to Gabe. Skull looks to be coming back on in. We will see, though. Maybe that's just the Codcaster fooling me, because we're getting a 1v1 chow with Aiden. Gabe takes him down, but through the window we go. And just like that, your map 2 winners.
Woo, all right. I'll tip my hat to Gabe. Got a kill in transition into 1v3, but Twisted Minds on top. Twisted Minds, one of the top storied teams in this lobby, and frankly, one of the teams that everybody expected to qualify for LAN, no questions asked. They're proving why. A great map, great position. I was touting 100 Thieves, of course, but that team, technically, Twisted Minds, had the best position, and they got the zone pull they wanted. Able to play the high ground on the building inside of Living Quarters. Perfect execution and a little bit of luck on their side. They're going to be near the top of the leaderboard, but I can only imagine 100 Thieves had more kills, and so I wonder who had more points in that map. You got to remember, folks at home, if you haven't watched a lot of Warzone tournaments, these are kill multipliers. 1.6x multi if you win the map. That's going to be Twisted Minds. But a 1.4x for 100 Thieves with one player showing 12 kills? I mean, that's a lot of points. That's what they needed. They're going to be up there in the top 5, no question.
At one point towards that end circle, the entire kill feed was at the hands of Blast, and everyone was his problem. And he goes, you know what? It's fine. I'm just going to take you all out. Now, that's the difference between 100 Thieves on the high ground and Twisted Minds on the high ground. Sure, Twisted Minds does get the 1.6x multiplier, being slightly more patient, right? Just on the other side. But I think those kills are going to be beneficial, especially once you know you've already locked into that 1.4x multi. You're like, at this point, I just want more kills at 1.4.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was the VOD review from eBase to say, hey guys, a lot of zones ending Living Quarters. Don't rush into Stronghold when you see that zone there. Either way, whoever made the call, it was the right 100 Thieves. Second place, Twisted Minds on top. Who knows where those scores will land? We'll be back in just a moment for a little bit of math, a little bit of some leaderboard, and then game 3 right around the corner.
One by one chase you. If you scream, I'll whisper. La-di-da-di-da-da-da. This is all you ever wanted. Take it all, you deserve it. This is how we're gonna end it. La-di-da-di-da-da-da. Take it all, you deserve it. Take it all, you deserve it. Giving back the freedom you want to destroy. And my power's way too strong for you, so try. 'Cause you can't dominate and nor will you survive. And not this time, 'cause I'm the wiser of us two. I'm the one of life antithesis of you. The fire in my heart will only grow. If you shut the gates, I'll burn them down. I am 1,000 steps ahead of you. You'll see soon. If you shoot, I'll take it. If you run, I'll chase you. If you scream, I'll whisper. La-di-da-di-da-da-da. This is all you ever wanted. Take it all, you deserve it. This is how we're gonna end it. La-di-da-di-da-da-da. Shoot, I'll take it. If you run, I'll chase you. If you scream, I'll whisper. La-di-da-di-da-da-da. La-di-da-di-da-da-da. I am 1,000 steps ahead of you. You'll see soon. There's something in his eyes. There's a storm within, but it's written in the skies. Let it break me till it's over. Won't let it shake me, no. Won't let it make me go under. Won't let it make me go under. So now it's time to fly. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna stop me. No one
Welcome back to the North American Esports World Cup qualifiers here. It's 2025 and it's a dang good time. We are a quarter of the way through our competition already. 2 maps done very quickly. And Tiff, I gotta say, the last one, a lot of fun to watch. And I think we saw some massive score totals in that one as well, especially from the likes of people like 100 Thieves and then Twisted Minds, who won the map with Ultimate High Ground.
Look, I think that was the coolest thing that we could have got for that end game, 100 Thieves versus Twisted Minds. When you had Twisted Minds that had already got a top 2 in map number 1, just looking to grab that 1.6x multiplier for themselves. The question is, how many kills did they have? And you look at it right here. Twisted Minds had 13 kills. So for the second match in general, they were able to acquire 20.8 points, which is still a solid game. Mind you, we just want to be inside the top 7. And that is a surefire way to remain consistent to do so. But 100 Thieves, you were talking about, they got aggressive in that end game. Also on the high ground, 20 kills.
Same thing I was saying from map 1. If you are given a zone that is your starting POI, the POI that you drop on, and that's the end zone essentially, or at least very close to it, you should be near the top of this leaderboard, all things considered. And so 100 Thieves near the top there. Scythe also dropping Stronghold at the top there in second. But here's the overall leaderboard, and this is the one that we've got to pay attention to, because look who's still at the top, Tiff. After a banger of a first map and a solid second one, you still see FJC in the first place position.
Yeah, they had a 19.6 point game in game number 2. So to be able to be around 50 points after 2 maps, knowing we have 6 more to go, is just insane to kick things off and be that consistent. Scythe, though, this was the team that we kind of highlighted as maybe that underhorse or dark horse story that, you know, when you've got players that are just turning 18, finally getting their chance at competing on this level of a stage, to be in second place in a stacked lobby like this, I'm saying 3rd from the quals in general, and now we're still inside the top 3 ahead of orgs like Twisted Minds, 100 Thieves. Like, is this the story on the road to EWC for Call of Duty Warzone of the orgless teams?
It certainly could be. I mean, the team that won the European qualifiers and obviously booked a ticket to LAN is unsigned. That's Elf. Of course, some of these stalwarts, frankly, the old guard in Warzone, here to prove that there is no such thing as a new guard. The old guard still remains at the top, but really excited about our score lines in total. I'm not seeing a ton of surprises other than, frankly, I think Team Unrational was a team that I truthfully has always said is a really strong squad. Obviously, Knight making a reappearance on a different team this time underneath Unrational himself. They're not doing well at all. I think they're in 12th overall with only 11 points. This is actually pretty similar to what I saw from them in scrims. They're landing Prison, which is not where they landed in the other qualifiers. Based on the contested drop spots on the map, they've decided to basically land Cafe or Showers in that kind of middle section of Prison. It's worked for them sometimes, but when it doesn't, it very much so doesn't. And because of that, they have a roller coaster of a map after a map. Sometimes they'll drop a banger, it'll get them back into striking distance. Are they out of it? Not even kind of. These are 3 storied players, absolutely still have a really good chance to make it to LAN, but they got to either change something right this second or make some power moves early and think, hey, it'll come back to us. We get a northern zone, maybe it'll go our way. But here's a quick look at it. And well, as per the usual, sometimes you just got to speak some things into existence. My goodness, this is going to change some things up. Obviously, S8UL, they tend to land at bio. Watch them stick in that bio building till the very end of the game, most likely. This also spells well for VP, who for the very first time, it looks like, are being contested. And it scopes Intex and Believe. They've swum back to their old drop spot over at Chemical, and already not only bio, but also Chemical in contest as per the usual at bio, but a little nuanced move here from Intex and Co.
Oh, Trick tries to get off the roof. I don't know if we're going to be able to get that self off, but Riyadh in the distance, just trying to hang on, get his teammates back in, but it's Team Vonbot and S8UL that have been contesting throughout the past few maps, and no one's going to be able to give this one up, especially with that circle initially pulling to favor this area. We have to take this chow, but when you chow too, you're going to get dropped. And Brax, that's unfortunate for you, but little Mario ain't just a chill guy here in bio.
You gotta remember, folks, this is a big fight. When you're over there in Bio, you're over there in Chemical, if you can maintain those positions, those are the teams that have traditionally and historically been at the top of the leaderboard. We just saw it in the last map from 100 Thieves and Team Scythe. Now they are the ones that are gonna have to rotate, so watch out for that squad. But this is what's happening in Team Unrational. They're playing inside a prison, and they're getting punished, and they're punishing each other. This is what happened during Europe. We had 3 teams land HQ, and all 3 teams didn't qualify for land. Middle prison is Mixie, and it looks like Unrational's team able to get a couple kills, but right now just trying to restabilize.
Well, team believes gonna be the first squad out of map number 3. Unfortunate for them, still can't get things moving, but AG raided Nate Dogg Scum and loadouts in hand, and well, they've got the buy station, they've got control. The issue is you have Twisted Minds that are gonna be on their high ground, and as well as Team Unrational still looking for places to get boots on the ground and get some stability on their side.
Here's a look at headquarters. Again, this is the exact opposite zone from what we saw in the past. Seeing the true, all 3 of our zones totally different from each other. And Knight, Adrian, Unrational know it. They got to get a move on this leaderboard, and they know they've got some freebies on the outside of prison. The question is, where do you go from here, if anywhere? Are you just going to try to hold this position? Frankly, a tough position to hold on the outskirts of prison, right around these kind of garrisoned areas. You're looking for a Raul who's trying to make a play. A team that desperately also needs a little bit of help on this leaderboard. It's going to be Raul's team. My goodness, down early and quick. No problem at all. Well played from this trio. Yet to be contested after our first initial fight. And here comes the push. It's going to be Husker's team, Senior Citizens. They jockeyed against each other all throughout Quals Tiff, and both teams kind of just chalked each other. I don't think either team had great tournaments during the scrims and lead-ups. Both these teams struggling today. Looks like history is repeating itself. We'll see who decides to make a change first.
Well, Senior Citizens on your screen need at least 7 points to get into the top 7. Currently sitting in 10th place overall. Mind you, 7 sealed their ticket into Riyadh to compete for a massive amount of money and glory for themselves, where the Falcons already sealed themselves a ticket. Because, you know, as we go through these quals, we're also looking for teams that can potentially take the Falcons down on LAN after multiple years of domination.
That's very true. Well, quick note in the kill feed, by the way. I saw Big Man taking down S8UL, and it looks like, look at that gigantic rotation. Anxiety, Big Man, Scythe, they're up there in Bio already, Tiff. They land in Stronghold usually. They've totally flipped this map on its head, knowing where the power position is, and they've been able to take it. Again, there's a reason this Young Gun team, we can't stop talking about them. Not only are they at the top of the leaderboard, but they're dominating on these rotations. Vombot punished in his transition. So we see VP rotating, and by rotating, I mean holding down Chemical. They've been here since the beginning, and they know that they own this POI. They're going to stay here and just look for some free kills.
I'm okay with Sage right here doing it. Streak in hand, is ready to invest it onto Bio as soon as he gets a knock with that sniper. But you're just keeping and relaying that information onto your team. But back to Bio we go. S8UL says, hey, I'm going to chow, but Anxiety is holding that angle on the stairs. Molly goes out to try and push through it, but Big Man still picks up in Fool's Brax, and Anxiety is just going to do what he can to destroy Trick. Initial shots going out, and just like that, finds another. Give him 5.
I mean, this team is in final form, Tiff. I'm going to keep saying it. Perfect execution, a perfect hold of Bio, and now nobody can touch them on what is one of the more powerful positions inside this zone. Will it stay in Bio? Will Bio be in circle? I don't think so, but it will be power position for a very long time. They're going to farm kills. Likely going to see them near the top of this leaderboard at the end of this lobby. No questions asked. But let's move over to AG, who's playing top prison now. They've already wiped a couple teams in transition on the way over here. This is something this team likes to do, is they play rated as an anchor, usually up in the tower from HQ, but because the zone has pulled them this far, now Raid is playing backside, and Nate Dogg's able to find an angle on Irrational, who gets cut down. Again, Team Unrational, a bit of a blender. I don't know where the rest of their teammates are. I think they're right below Nate Dogg, actually, in the second floor, which is where they drop into. That's going to be Knight and Adrian just trying to figure out, where do we go from here? How do we play a team that's already got high ground on us? And the answer is play it slowly, as it does look like Unrational will eventually come back in, and they're just gonna wait on him because our resurgence timer won't close for a little while here. A full another circle to go. But patience is a virtue right now when you're already in zone. No reason to rush it. Both these two teams just trying to try to pick up a couple teams in transition. Twisted Minds, namely one of those, that is going to have to rotate, likely water side. We'll see where they go.
We got S8UL here, trying to just hold down the fort as far north as possible. You do have Team J-Tech that is also trying to make that maneuver as far north as possible. But this is like map 2, right? How many teams committed to Stronghold, but it actually pulled to the opposite side, where the teams who held high ground for a longevity were able to make the most out of it. For VP coming from Chemical, once they land here, they get their loot, they have their macro strats and loot paths so great throughout that area that they're just so confident.
Well, back to the water we go. It looks like Elo Lamb's been able to pick up Huskers, which is nice for 10x's squad. A couple teams, by the way, fully eliminated. Yet again, Team Believe fully eliminated because they don't know where the heck to go. They went to Chemical during some of the quals, and they went back there for map 3 because Stronghold wasn't working for them. Guess what? You get punished by VP, and you're out of the map again. They're going to be at the bottom of the leaderboard. The other team out of here, Sway, Tappa, Devo, they can't figure out what they want to do either, and getting punished early. But to prison we go, because guess who's rotated here? It's going to be Twisted Minds in purple that have decided to join the party because they had to. I thought they might go low on the water side, but I think they expected that they could get picked up in rotation if they do that. So instead, they head to cover, head to prison, and now they're rotating out now that their third has respawned. And it looks like this RPG squad, Adrian, Knight, Unrational, they're going to hang out where they dropped, slow playing, trying to figure out where this next zone goes. It absolutely could stay on prison, or it could pull even closer to bio, and it pulls somewhere in between. They will have to move just a little bit. And the question is where, especially when you've got that rated squad right above you.
I was okay with them biding their time, right? Because we were worried with Unrational getting back in through that resurgence timer, how he was going to be able to get past the squad on the roof. But seeing these three back together, knowing that they don't have to push to some crazy circle that is just completely opposite of where they drop, should allow them to actually stay alive, get some kills, and make the most out of the multiplier, considering we need a massive one out of this. You are about 12 points after 2 games outside of 7th place, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it can be if you keep going down off rip.
Hey, yes, sometimes all it takes is one big banger. And speaking of a banger, off screen, Scythe yet again just farming SAEUL, holding bio. Brax's team desperately trying to take back bio, their original drop spot, beside Big Man Anxiety, have held it down perfectly. And yet again, not quite a team wipe, not yet, but certainly close, as VP playing the low side of Industrial. They've swung all the way over and now are punishing DJ Moss and Jackal, who have still yet to find their footing on the map and looking for more. It looks like Correct on the other side. Several teams in the area. Don't overextend too much. Looks like it was just enough to get the kill, and it doesn't look like any teams could spot them in this area. VP doing a great job of rotating over to Industrials, picking up kills, swinging back through the bunker, back to their home, as 100 Thieves is the team that is rotated all the way around. We knew it was going to be a big rotate from Control. They decided to go to Chemical, and immediately they get punished. Tiff, this is unreal. 100 Thieves out of here after a fantastic last map, the best team on the map on paper, and now all of a sudden they drop without a single kill multiplier, and down goes Team Unrational as well.
I'm telling you, there's something to be said by the duo of Dongy and Noobs. When they push, they are one of the scariest people on the map, because they're returning back to Sage, who's just been giving that information to relay that to Dongy and Noobs. He's like, look, I just wiped 100 Thieves. I came back with 5 kills. Let's do it again. And no one is able to get to where they are in Chemical. But AG, Scummin, Rated, Nate Dogg, another team that needs to keep on moving, considering they're in 9th place overall. But look at your map 2 winners here.
Yeah, Twisted Minds. Now, I think they're going to be able to get one of these players back. Most likely, it kind of depends, because they technically died before the timer ended. So I think Aiden can just survive, and he should see both of his teammates come back in. That's looking like what's happening. There they come. And so because of that, they are still on the map, kind of. Likely going to get shot out of the sky, at least partially shot out of the sky. I think that respawn protection is going to help a little bit. But to the water we go for a moment as Z-Smith looks for a place to land that's safe. How about the sub? Oh, no, there's 3 teams here as Allman and Z-Smith land. It looks like Senior Citizens were waiting for them, and they're going to try to pick up Allman quickly. Let's see if they're able to do so. Z-Smith is on 5, so Twisted Minds, even if they get chalked here, still a decent game, and Z-Smith's able to drop 1, but I don't know if he's going to get this full kill with 2 players hunting him in the water. Could be tough. Z-Smith finding some shots. Z-Smith in trouble. Aiden still alive off screen. Z-Smith is able to technically get the kill on Huskers, taking Senior Citizens down from a full team of 3 to 2. Somehow Z-Smith's alive. There it goes. Flank squad going to play spoiler, and Twisted Minds in trouble with only Aiden on the map. We'll check in with him later, I'm sure. 9 teams still on the map, multipliers in play, and water fights ensuing. Let's see who wins this one, I guess, as Jackal and Co. peeking their heads up for a moment to breathe, and in that moment, Clumsy punishes them, making it a 3v2, and they're just chasing their quarry through the water.
I mean, they take down Senior Citizens Citizens. They keep on moving straight to DJ Moss and Co. And at this point, you need to think that JTech's roster needs to send a thank you note to Z Smith from Twisted Minds, because they were so patient letting Z Smith do all the opening damage onto Senior Citizens, and now they're working on that rotation. Now, granted, they can stay out here in the water for a little longer, but they will have to move in. For VP being those land sharks, finally leaving Chemical, filtering up through here. Dongy's already setting that opening work, and Scummin on 7 is just trying to hold them back.
Yeah, by the way, APG is now out of here. You saw Raul fall. They're fully eliminated, but AG Global are still doing great work on the map. We've got 2 players alive moving on their merry way. Rated in Scummin. Rated, of course, being the sniper. Scummin being their slayer. Rated was able to drop, I believe it was Big Man on the other side from Bio. Of course, it's an immediately pick up, but Rated looking for an opportunity to open a window so they can move on. And as per the usual, of course, it doesn't pull all the way to Bio. We're going to pull to the docks area, and part of Industrial still going to be in zone. This is going to be a fun fight for most of these teams. This team on your screen right now is in a little bit of a weird spot. I don't know how they're going to rotate out without getting punished from this squad on your screen. Sight, Anxiety, Big Man made an insane rotation, an insane choice to say, hey, instead of Stronghold, let's swing all the way over to Bio as fast as humanly possible, take power position, win the gunfight, and now they're in a position to potentially win this map. But here's the moving zone, Tiff. Are you kidding me? We are all the way back over to the edge of the map, and all the folks in Industrial are going to go, oops, well, now what? And Donkey's going to make the early rotate with 10 kills.
Yeah, back to Chemical we go. They immediately know. We know how the pathing works. We just made this rotation. Now we're just going to double on back. But for this roster, Team Scythe, Team Big Man, they've got to make a similar one. Smoke's going out. We've got peppered shots coming through. We lose our plates, but it's Sage who's going to try and hold through those nades, make sure they filter accordingly, and Noobs keeps on picking them up. Mind you, this roster has at least 15 squads, and Team Big Man is getting shut out.
Finally taken down, I believe. It looks like, no, 1 player is still alive, so it does look like Scythe, Big Man, Anxiety, they are going to make top 5. They are going to get the 1.4x, and Big Man still making plays by himself as Elam gets cut down, but it is all about the squad that's on your screen. Rated getting cut down. Lil Mario making huge plays himself. They've got 10 showing without VonBot's kills. A team that some folks counted out, still in it into the top 5 is Big Man playing his life insanely well. Somehow VP is ripping people apart. Reminder, the onus and responsibility to win the map is on the team that lands on the end zone. They start the map where the end circle will end, and it's VP, the team on your screen, wiping Big Man, finally taking down one of the top teams today. Virtus Pro should win it all right here without too much of a problem, as they're able to take down Correct and make sure their teammates aren't going to shoot at them as they clean up this lobby quite quickly. And a nice win from VP. This is going to be massive for their overall score tally, and frankly, most people, Tiff, would say this was to be expected, as they do end up taking down Lil Mario, and it's just VonBot on the inside playing spoiler until finally cut down by Sage. Well done to Virtus Pro.
You love to see that for map number 3. My question is, how many kills were they able to achieve? At one point, we saw Dongy north of 10. Noobs was just stacking them up. And while Sage was anchoring across the way through the large majority of the beginning and mid game, you know he had that sniper in hand, constantly looking for information and just waiting to rip people apart, invest streaks to clear it on out and rack up the kills. Look, a 1.6x, it's going to go miles for them.
Yeah, and again, they had a ton of kills. You're totally right. I want to say they had 15, 16, maybe even more than that. We'll do the math on the back end during the break. But Tiff, one thing I got to say is, again, history repeats itself. A team that lands Chemical every map, they get an end zone that's Chemical, they win the game. That's the way Rebirth usually plays. But I, again, have to look at the young gun trio. Scythe, Big Man, Anxiety, they made a gigantic play to totally swing things up, swap things up, and say, hey, Stronghold, a thing of the past. We're heading all the way up to Bio. They're able to swing up, contest S8UL, wipe them multiple times, farm them for kills. Eventually, they fully eliminate them. They have Bio till the end, and then they move to Chemical. They early rotate. Unfortunately, Virtus Pro rotated just a hair earlier, caught them in transition, and full wipes them eventually. But both teams getting a bunch of multipliers, both teams getting a bunch of kills. Whew, Tiff, it is looking spicy at the top, but we are looking at the bubble teams. Who's going to be right there on the fringe? Who's not even close? A lot of math to be done during the break. Get some water, freshen back up. It's going to be a spicy second half of this tournament. Don't go anywhere. Well, welcome back to the North American Esports World Cup Qualifiers 2025. We've had a blast thus far with 3 maps. I'm Coach, this is the Tiff. And Tiff, you got to take me through the leaderboard. I think our map's about to get started. This leaderboard turned on its head a bit, but some of our top teams still dominating after a fantastic map from the team we expected to be at the top. Virtus Pro winning that last map with a ton of kills to boot. Take me through it.
Well, after dominating the closed quals, of course, we are not to expect anything else when it comes to finding the top 7 teams. Virtus Pro finally getting their map win with 23 kills. Use that 1.6x multiplier for the winners and 36.8. The biggest game of our day by far, but I think we can do better. Of course, we have 5 more maps to see if we can improve on that, but that is our benchmark. Team Scythe, though, you've seen him all day. Scythe, Big Man, and Anxiety have basically been rebirth reapers, some of the scariest fighting teams, unafraid to chow anyone. They walk away with 22 kills and a 30-point game for themselves, which is quite possibly insanity. And you think about the boys over at Pulse Check that have been keeping tabs on them throughout closed quals, and actually I think Hector himself said that will be a roster that goes in the top 7, and I believe it.
Yeah, and I'm got impressed with Team Vonbot as well. A great map for them. They needed it as well. Here's a quick look at the overall leaderboard, though. And as expected, Virtus Pro is at the top. And maybe not expected for some, but many of those that have been watching quals are expecting Scythe to do well, really seeing if they can execute in the highest of lobbies. And so far, so good. Even with a zone that was so far away from their original landing spot, they made the right call. They made a power call to say, hey, look, we are rotating all the way to bio. We are there immediately. Change everything up, flip it on its head, and it worked out flawlessly for them. They're at the top by a sizable margin. Again, our metric for success is somewhere around 115 points after 8. These 2 teams after 3 are in the 70s, Tiff. Absolutely dominating right now. Most assuredly are going to qual unless things go catastrophically wrong, but the team that won the first map in the top 3 as well, still FJC. Of course, that's Flanked, J-Tech, and Clumsy. Those are your top 3, but we're looking for a top 7. Some of the notable teams that are not there or not even close, still asking Team Unrational to step up. We know you can make crazy plays. We know you can get here. Let's see if maybe map 4, Tiff, is the map they needed to come out with a bang finally and get onto that leaderboard in a little bit better situation.
Yeah, I think as we move into like the mid-series, it is the time to really carve back on those point differentials. If you haven't had the best couple of games, we cannot let that trajectory keep going for you. And 2 teams in particular that have found themselves on the cusp of top 7 are Team Vonbot and Team S8UL. Now, the issue for them being 8th and 9th respectively on the leaderboard is what's occurring down at bio. They have consistently contested each other map after map after map, and finally parted ways just halfway through map number 3, where you saw Team Vonbot actually was able to get some decent points on the board. Now, we do need to see that for both of them if they want to go ahead and take down Team POs that are currently, I apologize if I didn't say that correctly, but they're sitting in 7th place right now as we move into map number 4.
That's 10X's squad, by the way. If you haven't seen that name before, watch out for them. They have been putting up some pretty banger games in the qualifiers. A pretty decent day today, right there in the middle of the pack. But here's a quick look at the zone. More centrally located, of course, favoring a little bit that southwestern side. But we'll see if it goes all the way down to living quarters yet again. As per the usual, this likely bodes well for a team like this squad on your screen. The team in 2nd right now, only by a couple points. And then, of course, the other team down here, Control, that's going to be that 100 Thieves squad that's in a really good position with this zone. They're not going to have to move for a while, albeit they'd like a couple kills. Here's a quick look, though. Anxiety gets caught unaware by Believe. Talk about a team that has had a frustrating start to this tournament. They landed here the last couple maps. In the last one, they go back to their scrim spot and their qualifying spot at Chemical, get obliterated by VP. We've played 3 games, and they've been first out twice. I hope it doesn't happen to them again, as they were able to at least drop 1 and are trying to play Big Man, Anxiety, and Scythe correctly as 2 push forward, Believe playing Anchor, and a couple C4s or something maybe is going to open up this fight. This should be a long one, as Believe does take down Anxiety yet again. That's 2 kills for their Anchor, but it does mean they know where he is. Big Man trying to get the better of 2. Not a ton of help from his team, so it's going to be a tough one to fight, and they know it. Intex and Co. Oh, I think if you just get aggro there, you could make a play and pick up Big Man. You have player advantage. They might have heard, though, a huge flank coming in from, well, Flanked. It's that squad in top 3 getting into the mix here. This is what they did last time to play spoiler. They kind of drop up their intents on the kind of farthest reaches of living quarters and then immediately rotate stronghold. It's worked out well for them. This is one of the reasons this Intech squad has been wiped every single time. It's not just because of Scythe, it's because of this team on your screen.
Yeah, and I love that they're rotating in to take this third party down at stronghold through living quarters, because if you think about it, Twisted Minds that lands over by factory, and if they lurk too long, there's a good chance that Twisted Minds will actually decide to push on over to them. However, they're kind of going off towards the north and just going between harbor and factory. But we'll check in with APG here, who's looking down the barrel, found Scummin already. Can we see the last player get out of there and get their teammates back on in?
And here's APG near the bottom of the leaderboard. He said this is an important moment for a lot of these teams. We're just about halfway. We'll be halfway done with this tournament for our closed quals after this map. And yet again, Team Unrational cannot find their footing inside of prison. Already scattered to the wind, still alive and barely breathing. APG, a lot of the same. And then it's AG Global, who's been kind of playing headquarters and then rotating over to top prison quite quickly. That's Scummin and Rated squad. They're moving dramatically over, and they've been the ones that have truthfully played spoiler yet again to these teams sharing prison. Prison is a giant POI. A lot of teams can exist here, but if you take the wrong fight, especially all together, gonna spell disaster. But to 100 Thieves we go as they try to take down some of their main competition, are able to do just that. 2 down, flank playing Anchor. I think Gabe might know where he is. Gonna try to chase him down, try to wipe this team before his teammates can get back onto the map as they go flying forward. And it's the fragger of Gabe out to run down some players. And as per the usual, it's Skullface way back on their starting POI TIF at control, hanging out with a sniper, just making sure his teammates can go fry and fly.
Well, that tracks, but Team Unrational finally looking to try and get everything back together for them. They run into so many issues at the start of a map and then have to regain in different POIs. So for Unrational, finding that kill on Sway is going to be substantial, but Tappa's still there, and Tenix is actually going to land back onto this area because their loadout is here. So now that you've got multiple squads all kind of culminating in this area, they're just gonna go crazy. Like, you have to do as much as you can, but Tenix finally takes them down. Devo now hits the water. We're about to see a potential 1v1.
Tenix is shooting straight these days, and a nice kill, making sure he doesn't sell his life here. As look who comes flying out of nowhere. VP said, hey, I heard there's some free kills over here, gentlemen. And Noobs is able to pick up Tenix, moving in with the force that is absolutely to be reckoned with. You're able to pick up a couple, but a couple snipers off in the distance, at least they're going to tell them to slow down a little bit. These guys look like they're in a pub's lobby right now, just stomping everybody in their mix. Where's their third? Sage playing Anchor. This is the classic story here in Resurgence. Sage is likely by himself all the way back in Chemical, while his 2 teammates are flying and frying around this map, trying to pick up any kills that they can. It does look like Team Unrational has fully restabilized for the most part. Knight's still in the air, Unrational still swimming in the bunkers, and Adrian in the mix in a 1v1v1 on the edge of the map.
Well, this is massive, right? Okay, so we have Dongy just straight peeking, and Adrian has a sniper and is just keeping it locked onto Dongy, and the whole time he kept rechalling. Finally, players are looking to push into Adrian, but he sets the trap, still goes down, and Unrational lurking below in the waters will have to make sure he can get his team back yet again. Sure, it seems that they have those moments of brilliance where they're all 3 back on the map, but it has been regain Blender, regain City for them the entirety of this series.
That's a great shot. By the way, we are missing 2 teams. One of those, the same team that's been wiped over and over and over again. Unfortunately, Believe Squad, I believe, fully eliminated. Again, they cannot get anything going in Stronghold, Chemical, or anywhere in between. Maybe in between is where they need to go. But to the teams on our screen, Devo going massive against S8UL. Only one one player remaining, Tiff. And it's got me in a blender because Bio being out of the zone, having to rotate in. 2 teams, 2 players on that team try to rotate in quickly, get their loadout, and they get cut down immediately. S8UL is in trouble, and they are a fringe team. We got to watch out for them.
Well, APG here on the roof. Plenty of people to look at, which also opens yourself up to a ton of angles to be ripped apart by. And as soon as you see someone rotate and try to get through this window to bottom of prison, Curic is going to just say, I've got you. I will take a kill for that. On to 3. Now, mind you, this is the squad that has been challenging S8UL over in Bio time and time again, but we see RPG back together. And this is the time I have faith. Can they stay this way? No, because look at this. We're immediately challenging. It's little Mario. They're coming at us from all different angles, and we pick up more than one kill. Now Dongy yet again from an abstract angle, trying to take down Unrational. Leave him alone.
Well, it is non-stop action, but it does look like Twisted Minds are coming in and cleaning up Unrational squad aside from Unrational himself. Almost disaster for that trio. We'll see if Unrational is able to stay alive just long enough to get his two teammates back in. But VP continuing to fly around this map, maintain what they believe to be a centrally located part of this zone, a power position right around Industrial, and clean up as many kills as they can. But Twisted Minds having to rotate out of factory slightly, pushing interior of the map, clean up everybody behind them. Should be too big of issue here. And down goes Vonbot, a great player, but Alman had a much better position with a little bit of help. They clean it up. Z-Smith way out in front. It does look like S8UL, as much as they got me in a blender and they were in a blender, they have fully restabilized. Much to their credit, they are a hard team to fully eliminate. As Z-Smith does have high ground here, this is going to be a pretty crucial fight for both of these teams. Our resurgence timer only about a minute and a half or so away from ending. Z-Smith knows it's a tough one, doesn't want to sell his life, especially with one of his teammates down. Got to stay up. S8UL back on their feet and back in the aggressive stance. They're still on this map, and they still got a statement to be made.
I'm trying to keep tabs on Trick here because I'm looking at the health and no plates just yet. So I'm curious about the resources that they have from everything that they've undergone to kind of have that rotation available to them. Dongy currently on the ground, and his team Unrational still in the waters around here. Noob's gonna look to the sky, maybe see if we can cut someone back down. But Sage, who's been sniping throughout, is currently on 6. Now, if we can get really high up on the leaderboard, I'm looking to Sage here to maybe hit us with some trick shots off the top of prison by the end. Like, I just feel like I need it.
Sure. I'd be down for something crazy. S8UL has rotated all the way into the bottom of prison. We will see prison in at least the next zone. There's another fight interior. This is where they made a quick work of Team Unrational earlier, but then get punished by teams like Twisted Minds, team like AG Global, who's on the other side right now. So some of the similar fights that we saw from before, and I believe it was map 1. Back at it again. It does look like AG Global is kind of split in position. So they're going to give away this part of prison inside of essentially showers. Question is, where do you go from here? You just hold this position until new. Right now, you can hold it. I'm going to make sure that you don't get caught unaware. And there's Devo doing exactly that. Luckily, a full team of 3 playing together. S8UL, great comms. And because of that, all 3 still alive. We swing back to Twisted Minds. Restabilize. Playing for top HQ. And right now, they're taking down a pretty important team, a team on the fringe. It's going to be your senior citizens. It's going to be Huskers and Co. Alman and Z-Smith want to clean this team up and take them out of this map. No hard feelings, gentlemen, but loved it. Trying to stay alive for a moment, is able to stay alive long enough to where his team's still on the map. No full wipe for the senior citizens, but still a blender, the place they've been since the beginning of this tournament.
Whatever happened to respect your elders, Goj? I mean, you just have to respect. But Twisted Minds kind of encroaching on that sandwich as you see senior citizens fully wiped there, with Breadman being the last player to kind of hold them together. They are down and out. But this rotation in is going to go straight towards Team Scythe, Big Man, and Anxiety. But you also have S8UL that are still encroaching on this general territory. Now, if you stay here, you run the risk of potentially being sandwiched by S8UL and Twisted Minds, and we're still not in. That is actually going to be 100 Thieves on top of Control Center that are going to be in a preferable spot.
Yeah, they're in a really good spot with this zone pull. Let's see where it goes from here, though. We see top prison. We do see APG still on the map, which is a new thing for us. They've made it to top 10. No shade. These guys are really strong. I actually had them on my list to qual in 7th, and they've got to really step up, though. They had a tough time in scrims. They've had a tough time in the first 3 maps. Now they've got a tough team to face to maintain top prison control. Part of this prison, of course, still inside of zone. As Scythe, Anxiety, and Big Man, they've rotated from Stronghold all the way to top prison. And they're just going to be fighting each other for a while here. Let's see who gets the first knock, and that'll be the signal flare to make a move. And, well, I think it's going to come down to streaks, and that's exactly what happens. Scythe's able to drop 2. They know they got to fly at them. Down goes APG. Another frustrating map for them. A little bit of a multiplier. I don't think they had a ton of kills, Tiff. Twisted Minds below. Team Scythe above. Some of our top teams in Control or otherwise This is going to be a battle for some of the top teams on the map. One of those that really needs to step up is S8UL, restabilizing. A tough rotation coming for them, though.
Well, 10X, the last team to fall on out, and it's 100 Thieves that's about to be eating in this lobby as everyone looks to make the pathing out of prison. And Blast picks up one. Scythe is just trying to grab whatever he can, runs on out, and is literally 10 HP and a dream. This team is going down. There it is. We'll have the self-res. We'll try to make the most out of our multis. Maybe we can grab a top 5, but Anxiety still on the ground. Twisted Minds, Aiden, not too many kills here for this roster, but how are you going to deal with 100 Thieves as they have this place locked down?
Yeah, Twisted Minds ended up playing a highly aggressive stance to kind of swing around the backside of this zone, play edge, pick up a ton of kills. But because of that, they're going to get punished on rotation in. Down goes basically everybody besides Aiden. He has made it to top 5, though, holding on to the self-revive. But it's all about 100 Thieves, because where's the zone pulling? They're starting POI. History continues to repeat itself. This is how this map is played. But then the second fiddle, the Silver Surfer, the team that you always talk about, is who can make the best rotate to this in circle. And this time it was VP who were your last map winners. Will they win this map? Absolutely not. Unfortunately, there's just no way. It's all 100 Thieves all day. They're going to clean up the rest of this lobby, no question. It's just a matter of time. Noobs is able to pick up a couple in transition, though. Picking up a couple kills here is massive. They're 1.4, and unless 100 Thieves sells a weird fight, they've got this win in the bag. Here's Noobs on edge of zone, gonna give away a kill to 100 Thieves. They're gonna move up the leaderboard dramatically, and they're gonna get a win. 100 Thieves, welcome back to the party. And 100 Thieves, nice job winning the map that was given to you. Perfect execution, holding control, still staying active so you can get kills. Very well done from this trio.
When you think about that, 5th place coming into map number 4 in a win to hopefully jump through the leaderboard if they can. They were situated about 30 points or just under that away from first place. But mind you, we're just looking for top 7 here. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent if you want to go to Riyadh.
Yeah, it's fun because I love this story we get to tell of like, hey, is the end zone your POI? You have a really good chance to win if you execute correctly. And all of these teams have been practicing so much that just about every team's been able to do that. But the second story that's so important and the opposite side of the coin is who is the best team that can rotate across the map and secure a top 5 position with a ton of kills. This last time, Virtus Pro was able to get a win in Chemical. This time, they were able to rotate across the entirety of the map, make a play for top 5, get a ton of kills in transition. So very well done from Virtus Pro. 100 Thieves likely on the top of the game leaderboard, but the overall leaderboard, it's still got to be VP unless something crazy happened that we missed, Tiff.
Yeah, and also I wanted to give a shout out to Sway Tappa Devo. That roster did get into the 1.4x multiplier. It looked at the very end, and knowing that they found themselves in 11th place prior to this map, I think hopefully they had enough kills to make the most out of that multi, because if you're trying to jump into the top 7, you have to be able to do that. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot of our teams at the top, just getting into at least the 1.4 every game.
Well, halfway done and only 7 teams making it, half of our lobby making it to Riyadh. You won't want to miss out on that insane trip to the Esports World Cup. So maybe halfway through, you make a change. We'll see what they do during the break. When we come back, leaderboard, game 5, halfway done with this tournament. Don't go anywhere.
2, 1, go. Three, two, one, go. Three, two, one, go.
Welcome back to the North American Esports World Cup Qualifiers 2025. It is the road to EWC, and Tiff, the road in this event is halfway done. We're running out of runway, and some of these teams desperately need more than 8 games. Unfortunately, they're not going to get it. This leaderboard is looking spicy, and the story at the top is some of the teams on paper we expected. This last map, 100 Thieves dominated because, well, the zone pulled to their starting POI, and they made quick work of the rest of the teams that tried to chow them. But the second story, Team Scythe yet again has another banger map, 25.2 points.
Yeah, as you kind of go through the entirety our first half of our series today, Scythe has just been so consistent in terms of the kills. Sure, if they're not putting up the 1.6x multiplier, it doesn't even matter. I mean, they had 18 kills from map number 4, and you go on back and it's 22 kills in map number 3, and even then 18 kills in map 2. So they're constantly getting 1.4x multis alongside some of the highest kills in the entire lobby. But shouts to Virtus Pro, Twisted Minds, FJC, your map 1 winners that have remained consistent. But we have to start thinking about the teams that are on the cusp and the teams that are at the bottom. You mentioned the road is running out of runway, and for some it's looking bumpy, full of detours, and I'm starting to get worried.
Yeah, if you've got a runway that has detours on it, you know you got a problem. And for some of these teams at the bottom, that's absolutely the case. I think one of the quick notes, of course, the teams at the top, we said the metric for success, the metric for potentially auto-qualling, if you will, making sure you're past that threshold, is around 115 points. That's not 100% accurate. That's an average based on the other qualifiers we've seen. But right now, it means that Team Scythe, Virtus Pro, FJC, even 100 Thieves, Twisted Minds, they're looking really strong after the first half to easily be able to do that. The problem is, let's take a look at the other teams. Obviously, a very small margin between 7 and 8 of only about 5 points. Teams at the bottom, we gotta change things up. It's halftime, all right? Like, it's time to change. You can't wait on anything else. You can't expect anything else to change for you. You've played half this tournament. You're at the bottom of the leaderboard. You're all really talented. You got here for a reason. It's time to think on your feet. It's time to go to plan C, D, E, or otherwise and make a move. I'm looking at Team Believe. They're one of the teams that's been wiped first almost every single lobby. One of the reasons for that, they contested in Stronghold with Team Scythe. And it's not actually Team Scythe that's the one playing spoiler to them. They're trading blows back and forth. It's that FJC roster that moves out of living quarters immediately into Stronghold that's wiping Believe's team from the back in the third party, because Believe team's playing that kind of middle position of the sandwich that you were talking about. So that team's got to change it up. They went chemical on the North Zone map. They got punished by VP. I don't know what they're going to do. And then Team Unrational, I think a lot of us expected them to do well. I was watching their scrims yesterday. They were really struggling as well in mid-prison. I don't know if they change it up. Wherever they go, they're going to be contested. It's just a matter of what they're comfortable playing, and right now they look pretty uncomfortable, Tiff.
Yeah, and I mean, if they're going to keep going Stronghold, keep taking that initial chow, then I don't blame FJC for keep on moving throughout and just capitalizing on what they're basically calling easy pickings. Because from them, they can leave one player back and they say, hey, just anchor down for me. I'm just going to go play my life for now, and if I die, well, I die, GG. I'll come right back in 15 seconds, just open up a couple of crates and we'll get on our merry way. Now, that's just to be said, is Twisted Minds over at Factory, they're that looming presence as we move into our second half, map number 5. You do have 100 Thieves and you've got Team Scythe on the left-hand side of things to keep tracks of where they're going yet again. Big man eyeing down Stronghold, their beloved. Will they be chowed?
Well, here we go. You're right. A quick look at that zone. It is going to be southern oriented, but not as crazy as one of our earlier maps, rather. And so a quick look, and it does look like, yeah, I think Scythe's team has a free Stronghold to themselves finally. Let's see what happens on the other side, as immediately, by the way, Senior Citizens now the team that's wiping Intex Scopes in Believe. I don't think they're fully out of this lobby yet, but they're in a blender yet again, which means they likely transitioned over to, I guess, prison. But to a fight we go, because Bio hotly contested as per the usual. S8UL and the other team, VonBot Squad, both teams right there on the fringe because of this early contest. Both teams trying to get the better of their opponents so they can jump the leaderboard and make sure the other team doesn't qual.
Well, S8UL, they finally got themselves into 7th place at the hands of Team Tenix, now in 8th, who will have to fight on back to get the 5 points to get into qualification. But you see VonBot just trying to get on back through. They're actually going to dive down and play from Industries before kind of rotating back on in to help the duo inside. But Brax is just going to be able to watch the staircase Play it slow, play it conservative. Tricks on the inside for the stairs, and for now, we'll check in with them later. It's J-Tech over here at Living Quarters with FJC. You've got remnants of Twisted Minds that are looking to get involved, but you still have Team Believe. Very scary for them. Could they be wiped early?
Yeah, this is a pretty big moment. I mean, you can see Twisted Minds is making a huge rep already. I say huge. I mean, it's not that far away. This is something they do quite often. They send Aiden and Zeesman up to frag out into Living Quarters. And I'll be curious to see if they're able to get a ton of kills for it or potentially spoil this squad, FJC, who's had such a good day like you were talking about. So far, working well for them. Of course, Almond, the one playing a little bit slower on the backside, way back down in docks to make sure his teammates can go fly, fry, frag, and pick up more kills on what apparently are freebies with Intex Believe. They can't get anything going today, and very strong competitors, but not today. They're not. And down goes a part of SJC that's flanked. Getting punished, though. It looks like a couple teams trying to catch a couple of our Twisted Minds players in transition as Scythe and Big Man squad able to rotate up and try to punish Twisted Minds for stealing some of their kills. I was like, wait a minute, those were supposed to be ours. Don't come all the way over here. But to another fight we go. S8UL again punishing Little Mario squad for contesting them on drop.
Kind of love this, right? You've ran off Team Vonbot because they're starting to recognize as we get this updated leaderboard in our hands that actually Team Vonbot, 10th place overall, just under 10 points outside of 7th place. So Team 10X is still that benchmark in 7th place, but just by 0.8 points.
Well, Almond, their anchor, has been found out by Scopes, Believe, and Intex, who have somehow restabilized back on the map to some degree. It looks like one floating in at the very least. Scopes is able to pick up a kill on the anchor, which means Aiden, Z-Smith, you got to play safe, but you also need to get back to home base, all right? Go out. You know, you're on like a very long leash, but when the owner is in trouble, you got to come flying right back as fast as humanly possible. So that's what's happening over there in the docks area. But Doggy is taking quick work of Scummin here on Water Tower. As similar story here for VP. Doggy and Noobs are the ones out on a very long leash trying to pick up a few kills before going back to home base, which is Chemical.
Read it here, just kind of biding their time. And as we jump on over the POVs, there's chaos all around. If there's one thing I've learned from Call of Duty today, it's that you just have to embrace the madness of what it is. And to the top of prison we go. Nate Dogg v Adrian in a 1v1, and he's gonna swing, he's gonna take some initial shots, but he's not gonna get the kill. That's gonna go to Adrian.
Finally, some momentum on the side of Unrational. Adrian, Knight, individually, all three incredibly storied, professional level players who have shown why they're one of the best players in the game, period, across multiple different game modes and titles. Knight, of course, performing on Twisted Minds quite well last year on LAN. Adrian and Unrational both have plenty of earnings under their belt, but today it's not going well for them. This map maybe is the starting of something great that will bring them back to potentially be able to make LAN, as 100 Thieves have a now clear POI here with Control, as they've cleaned up everybody that's near them over on the dock side this time. I was saying that before, Twisted Minds, they play around Factory. There's another kind of a small dock over there. The Factory spot for Twisted Minds. 100 Thieves has maintained control for a very long time. Those two teams kind of cutting the map off from either side, and the rest of the team trying to play in the middle, as Anxiety, Scythe, Big Man pick up a couple more kills in the water and continue to hold down Stronghold. Now, it looks like they're contested now by teams that are trying to honestly just stabilize. Where else do you go besides a POI that is honestly a large part of the map? It's so segmented off that usually there's only one or two teams that are here, even though it's a ton of square footage. So Anxiety picks up another player, Sway in trouble. The rest of this team completely and utterly lost, as Scythe, Big Man, Anxiety, Tiff, they are cleaning house at Stronghold.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough. And another tough moment here is 10X, right? We were just talking about it in 7th place, the litmus, the standard that all the teams that are looking to get into the top 7, that is the barrier. And watching him fall right here in the water, granted, not a team wipe, but we do need them to get some massive points on the board if they want to lock down a top 7, because the points disparity between 7th and 6th, well, that's going to keep on crawling on up. And Sway, Tappa, Devo on your screen is one of those teams that is situated inside the top 10, but still looking for more.
It looks like Squad 9 was just wiped, by the way, which is going to be S8UL. So a team that was right there on the fringe. You were talking about them. I think they are off this map entirely. This is going to be the first totally chalked game. I've been touting how good they are and able to stay alive even when they're in trouble. This time, the story is different. The second half proving difficult for them. You're going to see them drop likely out of the qualification metric and into the bottom 7 teams, having to come back against all odds in the second half. We'll see what they're able to do as Unrational Squad has restabilized. Grandma's and inside of living quarters and headquarters area is where they're going to be hanging out. Right now, it's just a matter of trying to get some information. If you don't have UAVs, they don't have a ton of resources, it looks like. They're trading plates, trading cash. Maybe going to try to hit a buy for some of that information. Probably best case scenario for them. But AG Global looks like a bit of a frustrating start for them as well, Tiff, as they only have a couple kills to boot and missing 1.
Ooh, okay, Scopes. You can see reinforcements from Intex coming into the doorway, but that's a nice pickup. Raiden and Scummin on the opposing building. Scopes still looking out, calling the shots, but Big Man wants to get involved in the fight, and that just seems to be everything that Team Scythe has been doing. They're just playing spoiler to all of the engagements, which, quite frankly, are very smart of them, right? They're not taking all of the attention from an opposing fight and an isolated. They're being the third partiers. They're the ones that are showing up and just looking for the easy kills.
Yeah, love them, hate them, never heard of them. It doesn't matter. Anxiety, Scythe, and Big Man are making fantastic Call of Duty calls on this map, which is netting them a ton of success. Here they come in, third-partying a team. You can see AG Global now somewhat restabilized with all 3 and immediately losing Scummin by Big Man. They're going to have to push around the corner. Unfortunately, Twisted Minds is here lying in wait. This is what they do often. Look at little 2 on the map right now. The purple, you see 1 player, that's going to be Almond, playing Anchor. These other 2, Fly and Fries, Eastman and Aiden, they've been playing together for a very long time and finally getting punished for it. We lose 2. We know where Almond is, but we don't have time to go get him right now. Anxiety, Big Man, Scythe just trying to kill everybody on the map, and down goes Nate Dogg, which means down goes AG Global, a team that we expected to do well. They've got some Slayers, unfortunately go down in 10th place overall with probably not a ton of kills to boot. A bad map for them.
Well, Big Man on 11th, going fishing, and Scythe just says, hey, I'm going to call it out. As soon as Flank comes up to breathe, I'm looking to connect. This hits for the plates, cracks them. Can Big Man put the finishing touches on it? But Team Tenix says, I'm going to land out here. You got Intex across the way, flanked there, looking to pick up Sukara if he can. Does get the knock, looking for a full. Maybe we'll have some resources, maybe a plate or 2, just something that he can have out there in the water.
Yeah, this is wild. I mean, again, I was touting their experience, what they've been able to do as a team, a trio that's been working together for over 2.5 years. Anxiety just now able to compete in some of these big tournaments. Big Man's on 11 right now. They were already near the top of the leaderboard, if not at the top. They are dominating this map yet again. Now, a southern zone certainly helps them. They haven't had to move too aggressively. But look who's newly found themselves into the top 10 on this map. Team Unrational has fully restabilized and actually in a really good position if they can just hold it. But VP, the ones playing spoiler, this time on the edge of headquarters, they're picking up a full team potentially as Tenix goes down. And I think only 1 player left for that squad. Adrian's squad could play spoiler to VP and potentially have their first good map of the day, depending on what they decide to do. And I think patience is a virtue right now, Tiff.
Yeah, this squad here currently has 34.2 points. The cutoff is 48, and Team Tenix has been going through an absolute blender this game. So knowing that they're not really having their best game of the day in map number 5 is going to open the door for Team Unrational to jump up into top 7, potentially, if Adrian has about 5 and across the way. But the issue is the teams at the top of the leaderboard are point sponging, and that one in particular is going to be VP.
Yeah, totally agree. That's a really good call. There's not a lot of points to go around when Doggy's on 10 and Big Man's on 11. That's 21 kills just between the 2 of them. Of course, Resurgence is closed at this point, moving to Circle 4. So we've got 9 teams with no other teams getting back onto the map, of course, as per the usual, but no other players getting back on the map unless you spin that cash. And a great rotation from 100 Thieves that is mostly unharried, going through what we like to call tents down below, moving into living quarters. 100 Thieves actually have a decent position, whereas before they were outside the zone from control. They've been lying in wait until this moment. Now that the timer's closed, they make their move, and they do it well. But these 2 teams, Unrational Squad and VP, are going to be hanging out in 2 of the biggest power positions on the map right now, while the rest of these teams battle it out. If they can trade out one, wow, I think Noob is actually able to get a full kill on Unrational. Talk about frustrating, my goodness. Losing 1 when you've got a full building for cover because of that wall bang cleanup from Noobs. That is so frustrating for Team Unrational. We'll see. And I think they actually were able to just sprint down to the buy station and immediately buy him back. So he'll be floating in the skies. The VP has taken power position up here at headquarters. They're going to be hanging out for the final fight, Tiff.
Well, I'm talking frustrating for Believe in Tech Scopes. They were trying to rotate into that next circle, and they are just getting looked at by Twisted Minds. But RPG moves on in, knows Twisted Minds has been split. They find Aiden, knowing that Almond and Z-Smith are still elsewhere. The issue is Almond has been basically the one that's been able to get them back in, oftentimes anchoring near a buy station out in factory. So that is the way that they've been playing this. So keeping their numbers up for endgame, but we haven't really seen too much of RPG towards the end, and this could change the pace for them in this series.
I don't know who let 100 Thieves rotate to a power position on this map, but they went from tent all the way up low side, and then VP let them in. But here's a big fight. VP versus 100 Thieves impending as Dongi elects to take high ground. They could just stack on each other for a little while and let these teams try to rotate in. But when the shots are fired, they know they've got to take this fight. Two of our top teams today on the same building, in the same power position, and they both frankly get the zone pull that they wanted. It's just a matter of who gets the kills as they're rotating in. As Scythe Big Man and Anxiety said, we don't care about a high ground, we're looking for all the kills we can get. They clean up some of the teams down below, they've made it top 5, and they're going for a wild wrap out, potentially looking for some self-revives, some gas masks, or anything in between. But these two teams stacked on top of each other are reaping the rest of the lobby, and eventually it's going to come to a head, as it does look like Team Unrational and Twisted Minds could take the rotation from the low side to potentially make it to new.
Oh, Dongi just shredding Aiden out of the air on 12. You love a good free cam shot to really set up what we're seeing towards this endgame into the 1.4x multiplier, and it's Sage from above. Scythe drops on in, actually is able to recover down below, keeping them still looking for that 1.6x, but with 3 members up from VP, as you see Dongi get imploded. We have angles on everyone.
A great move from Gabe to try to even the tides back in their favor, but a swing. It looks like Scythe's playing spoiler. What was a 100 Thieves VP fight? Scythe comes in, weakens one. 100 Thieves, from Gabe's perspective, swings up on top when that mortar came down from Team Unrational and is able to take down one. We do see Scythe's team fully eliminated. They do make it to top 5, though. Still going to see him at the top of the leaderboard. Skullface finds the angle. VP is out of here. 100 Thieves trying to make quick work of the rest of this lobby. 100 Thieves could do it again. Only a couple more teams to go as Gabe does finally fall. And of course, Twisted Minds, Almond trying to make hero plays like he's done in the past, but it's going to be a 2v1 for the final fight, and Almond could do it. No, not even close. Blast, Skullface, team up, get the kill. 100 Thieves have done it again. A perfect execution of a great in-game. This time, not their POI, but a great rotation and a great execution, playing that building so patiently until they could find the opening on VP. And when they won against VP, they won the map. 100 Thieves on top. Unbelievable, Tiff.
You got to hit him with the back-to-back, right? I told you at the top of the show that I reached out to Coach Ebates for the 100 Thieves roster, and I was like, hey, give me the details. Like, how are you guys feeling today? What are you guys looking out for? Are there any teams in particular that you're not necessarily worried about, but, you know, keeping your eyes on? He goes, if you're casting, I can't tell you anything. And I go, adjust accordingly. Do you know what he says? He goes, we're going to run it. We are going to run it down. And if you're hitting a back-to-back win like that, that is showing the confidence that we expect nothing less of from 100 Thieves.
Well, on our overall leaderboard, the top 3 teams, Virtus Pro, Scythe, 100 Thieves. Who were the final couple teams there in the final fight? Virtus Pro, Scythe, 100 Thieves, and then, of course, Twisted Minds, who's in 4th overall going into that map. The battle of the top 4 is absolutely the story, but the overall story, the more important story, frankly, is who's battling for 7th. Only the top 7 teams making it, Tiff. And because of that, a lot of our fringe teams are in trouble. I'm thinking of SAUL, who fell early. I'm thinking of Team Unrational, who was way down at the bottom of the leaderboard, but had a pretty decent map in that one. They're going to be up in the fringe after that map. I don't know. A lot of conversations to be had, Tiff. Any final thought from that map, though, because it was a doozy, and that is the first time we've seen a team win a map where the end circle is not their POI, frankly, with 100 Thieves able to do that here.
Yeah, it's just nice to be able to see that they can do that, right? You can adjust accordingly, hit the rotations, and just kind of walk on into that. But the biggest issue was the fringe teams, right? Team Tenix, Sukra, and LOM. They were trying so hard to restabilize and dropped in so many different locations across Rebirth Island and could not make it happen. That's the team in 7th place. So once they fell outside the 1.4x multiplier, that opened the door for all the teams on the bottom half of our leaderboard to really remove them and stamp their ticket to Riyadh. Now, granted, we still have more games to go.
3 more games to go, and they're going to go quick. So don't go anywhere. We're going to take a very short break here in the booth. When we come back, the last 3 maps, you're not going to want to miss them. Welcome back to the North American Esports World Cup Qualifiers 2025, and we are 5 games in, only 3 games to go, and frankly, the story in the last couple has all been Thieves. I've been thinking Thieves for a long time, but 100 Thieves is here to say, don't worry, we're going to be at the top. Tiff, let's take a look at that last match leaderboard before we take a look at the overall. The biggest game of the day, absolutely domination from this team at the top. 40 points just from that map alone.
Yeah, this is wild, because if you're going to operate under the nothing is given, everything must be taken, then of course it's going to be the Thieves that are going to want to take it all the way to Riyadh with 40 points from that game alone. That is insanely impressive. VP, Scythe, Twisted Minds yet again staying in that consistency for top 5. But can we talk about Believe, Intex, and Scope starting to fight back? And it's going to be dirty, it's going to be tough, and you are going to have to claw your way throughout the end of this series if you want to find yourself inside the top 7. As we jump to the overall, let's see where they've been able to move on that leaderboard. They may very well still be in 14th place, but the scoreline, we're getting closer. It is so insane how tight the 8th through 14th places. Sure, it's about like 20 points between S8UL and Believe, Intex, Scopes, but when you were consistently going out as one of the first teams and not even really getting to play the game, Goj, we're finally getting somewhere.
Yeah, this is a fun leaderboard because with 3 maps to go, again, our kind of metric for, hey, you did it, nice job, on average, not necessarily, but on average, we've already passed that from the top 3 teams. Virtus Pro at 136.2. They've made it. No questions asked in my mind. 100 Thieves after a couple map wins. 123.4. Fantastic. Scythe, big man anxiety. Man, these are the young guns. These are the underdogs. But just like qualifiers, in 3rd place overall with over 115 points already. Twisted Minds, right there, they're likely going to do it as well if they have a couple more games. So all of our eyes, all notions of storytelling that we have for the rest of this tournament is for those bubble teams. We've got to pay attention to the bubble teams. Of course, we'll see who potentially will win this whole thing, but winning versus 7th, it literally does not matter. It is about just making top 7. I even heard some of the teams talking about it. They're like, if you play to win, you might have a really bad tournament. If you play for top 7, that's A, a lot more attainable, and B, is a totally different strategy, and that's what you've got to be doing. So I don't know what these teams are playing for right now, but you need to be playing for top 7. And so I guess my question is, what's different? What happened there with Team Unrational that allowed them to have a pretty decent map to be able to work their way back up to be able to maybe make a play for LAN? Same thing, Intex, Scopes, Believe. They had a frustrating start to the last map. They just were able to restabilize better for some reason. I don't know if it was the coin flip that finally went their way in the second half of this tournament, or if they just outgunned their opponents finally and woke up. I don't know what it was, Tip, but whatever it was, they got to keep doing it.
Yeah, that's the difficult part. Regaining on Rebirth Island in a caliber of this lobby is never going to be easy. So if you were able to do that in the prior map, number 5, then you've got to be able to find that success here in match number 6. So Unrational's team has just jumped out of that. You see them hovering above prison and kind of committing even deeper south on Rebirth Island, straight over to headquarters, where you've got AG Global nearby. They actually kind of double back and go down lower, but Scopes yet again, that squad is consistently contesting, but this time it's looking towards JTAC's crew.
Yeah, this is actually super interesting. I really like this play from Believe team to say, hey, instead of going to Stronghold, instead of trying to go to Chemical or something weird, let's go Living Quarters and play on the opposite side of Flank's team. So guess who's in the middle of the sandwich? This time, it's going to be that Flanked roster. So watch out for that team. As per the usual, there is a fight going down in Bio. Now, if you took a look at that leaderboard, S8UL did drop to 8th overall, by the way. So this fight, crucial for them to stay alive. They dropped very early in the last map. They barely put up any points, and because of that, they are just out of qualifying reach in the top 7, and it's namely because of this fight right here. They've been going back and forth with Little Mario and his whole team, and I don't know who's going to win it this time around, but all I know is it's looking weird. Now, VP is doing something weird. VP has changed everything up. Did you see where they're at? They're way back on the sub on the outside of Bio, and they were, I think it was Brass that was able to take down Sage. So I don't know if they're trying to play spoiler on somebody, but here they come again. That number 1 red, that's VP. They're just looking for kills and maybe trying to play spoiler in some of these teams that they don't want to see on LAN. I don't know what they're going for, but whatever they're doing, it doesn't really matter. They've basically made it to this point, so they can get weird.
They could chalk other people's games if you think about it. There's actually only a solo that went towards the sub. The other duo is back into Chemical, but still here with Clumsy. takes down Intex, and here comes the next chow. The repeat comes on in and gets dumpstered. Okay, look, I'm sorry, Clumsy, but Scopes just put you down, and that's a team that needs to do this. They got into the top 5 in map number 5, but look at the third party. We talked about this. Twisted Minds has no shame. Aiden and Z-Smith at working and Tangent as a dynamic duo, while kind of Almond is back anchoring for them. They can just go frolic throughout, and as you can see, Intex is the object of their eye right now.
Dang. Yeah, here's the thing. I mean, this is so predictable from Twisted Minds. If you look back on the last couple maps, they've done this every single time. They all land out here in the water side of factory, right? They loot up as fast as they can. They maybe try to get their loadouts as quickly as they can. Maybe they do a contract if they can. And then Almond stays alive and Naden and Z-Smith hold each other's hands and go kill everybody in living quarters. So that's the problem with Blee's play, to try to play the other side of living quarters, is you got to think about Twisted Minds coming up, and they didn't pay attention fast enough. So because of that, they were punished. We'll see if they're able to stay on the map. It looks like Blee's going to be able to pick up a couple off screen as this fight for Bio continues on, as it will until one of these teams fully falls. This is a fight we've seen every single map and we'll continue to see, and both of these teams are right there on the fringe trying to make land, and that's the weird part about this fight. It's the same thing that happened in Europe. 3 teams landing headquarters, none of them qualified. I don't want to see the same thing happen here in Bio.
I was gonna say, thank you for bringing that up, because that's all that I'm thinking of as we have this initial fight, and Trick from the inside takes down Von Bot. Here, have a C4. There we go with that full, but Rida was back on the sub, anchoring down for the duo to fight it down in Bio. Correct here does connect on to Trick. Okay. Give him 2.
Welcome to the party. That was nasty. Put that on a highlight reel. That's a nice little quick scope, cleans one up. And gonna take care of Bio. Now, Bio, of course, not in zone. We've gotten another southwestern zone again. So looking strongholds, looking living quarters, looking 100 Thieves again, by the way, on control. Pay attention. Could see history made here in the quals with 3 wins for 100 Thieves. But SAUL on their back foot. They've got to stay alive here. This is everything. With only 2 more maps after this, you are not only running out of runway, I think, you know, your wheels are starting to fall off on your plane. I mean, my goodness, you better get off the ground very soon. It looks like Von Bot correct. Little Mario rotated correctly into industrials and industry, all of the words that you can describe this building as. It's theirs for now, but it's barely inside the zone, Tiff. So because of that, they'll probably push all the way to the opposite side. Looks like uncontested, and see where they go from here.
Well, back on over to Devo Sway Tappa. Another team that is on that cusp of breaking into the top 7, but this team has really solidified themselves in the top 3. Scythe, Anxiety, Big Man. Kind of scary. I keep saying that, right? But it's, you never know what you're going to get from them, because what they were able to achieve in the earlier closed quals, moving into these finals here today, knowing that you need the top 7, if they weren't on your radar, they need to be. But Team 10X officially in trouble. That is the team in 7th place.
Yeah, exactly. A great call out. They're not only in trouble on the map, but they're in trouble on our leaderboard. They're barely qualifying right now, but still having a decent day today, and namely because of this man on your screen right now. Sucre has had a ton of kills throughout the course of the day. 10X has been able to clean up a lot as well. Tends to snipe and snake. Sucre just playing spoiler. If he can pick up any of these, that's a boon. So one of the things we haven't really talked about a ton today, Tiff, is that one of the things we don't see on screen often are what I like to call the cleanup kills, as 10X is able to clean up Jackal on main. It's just getting a pick here, getting a pick there, that frankly doesn't hurt the other team all that much, but those kills add up. And if you're able to get into the double digits and get a multiplier, even if you're not taking crazy team fights where you're coin flipping on whether your team gets wiped, that's what you want to do. You want to get these picks, and just from a couple picks here and there, no team's fully wiped. This team's on like 9 kills already. This is a great game for a team that's in 7th place. They've got to keep up this pace.
Speaking of pace, you know how oftentimes that we've had commentating Call of Duty and competitive Warzone, the pace usually gets quicker as we get towards our end games in the series, but we have all 14 squads up. It's like we're finally starting to play our lives better here, but Gabe's on 5, and we are parkouring across the ship, looking for Tappa across the way. We get a couple of shots before falling on down, but we're basically toying with Tappa at this point. Will he approach him at a different angle? But this elongated fight, Tappa, okay, cutting down the back-to-back map winners of Gabe right there. That is wild.
Yeah, ultimately won't really matter. I know 100 Thieves is just holding control, but still a fun one to watch. I mean, there's no such thing as style points apparently in Call of Duty. Gabe was looking clean, but it wasn't able to execute in the moment. We'll get back on the map here shortly. JTech in trouble, pushes out, trying to take down one from one of the top teams today, and is able to do it, but gets traded out. Looks like Senior Citizens trying to get the better of a team at the top as well. One of the things you talked about was kind of a point sponge from some of our top teams. Big Man's on 5. I mean, if you're able to wipe this squad, overall won't matter really for Big Man, Scythe, and Anxiety. They got enough points to maintain a position on the leaderboard, make land, but it will matter for the points that are available to you. Senior Citizens trying to get the better of their opponents. Big Man playing this perfectly, able to peek the wall, peek the corner, perfect execution, a little bit of pre-fire, and another kill goes his way. Senior Citizens yet again in trouble, Tiff, and it looks like Twisted Mind's in the area as well.
It's so unfortunate. Every time you call them, I'm like, Senior Citizens, man. It's like, are they just going back to the lobby to play some bingo? I'm a little worried for them. You got Huskers who just got married, fresh off a honeymoon, back to the States. You get a team together that originally wasn't even going to compete, right? But Redmond has been on a couple different rosters, and they've been really fun to witness throughout the content creation and competitive Warzone journey. But AG on your screen, still jumping all around, cutting corners, and just trying to hold on. Now, granted, they're in 6th overall.
Yeah, they're in 6 overall, but I mean, the point differential there is well within reach for them to fall out if they don't pick up the pace and get some more kills. Rated, obviously, is usually their anchor. It looks like he's able to play Entry Man right now on Jackal, who he thinks is going to be a freebie, and that's certainly the case. This is a team they've been fighting over and over again. Don't get confused. It's AG Global versus APG, and AG Global's won that fight almost 10 times out of 10, and we've only played, what, 6 maps now. So, unfortunately, APG can't get anything going. AG Global getting everything going, this time able to strike back. Scummin, one of the top fraggers on the map usually, and it looks like that's the same in this one. AG Global might be on the fringe, but right now Scummin's on a burner.
I've bet on this man so many times when it comes to like a top fragger in a tournament, and every time that I don't pick him is when he will top frag. And now, granted, we didn't do predictions or anything at the top of the show, and I'm kind of okay with that because I can't curse Scum in, but LOM on 8. Tenix, Sucra, they're on 5 and 4 respectively. So this is the massive game that we were asking for the fringe teams. It was now or never, and it's better late than waiting till the 8th game of our series to put down like that.
S8UL is the one that's catching them in the crossfire, but then they get punished back in kind. So S8UL in trouble. Now, Senior Citizens full wiped in 10th overall. They will get a little bit of a multiplier. I can't imagine they have a crazy amount of kills. I can only expect they're going to be in trouble in our leaderboard. They were in 12th overall already, and falling in 10th, that's a brutal way to go into the next 2 maps. But Scythe able to connect on flank. Dolphin, not dolphin diving, but looking like a dolphin in the water. That's 1, and that's 2. Of it looks like Flanked and Clumsy both being knocked, and I think fully eliminated. I don't think the team's fully out. I want to say JTech was able to survive for a moment. We'll check back in with him later. But we go to Unrational with a sniper in hand, which is usual for him. It's like only about 4 shots to his name. Trying to get a bit of information for his team. I don't know where he goes from here. I mean, you could pick up 1 on Twisted Minds. That would be great. Our timer's closed, but I don't know.
I'm only laughing because he's got like 2 spring mines out by him. And then you see another member of RPG with a trophy system, and they are just locked down, and Big Man just going big on noobs right there, showing him what that high ground differential looks like as you kind of filter your way back through tents over to Control, where, quite frankly, 100 Thieves is. This is where they like to play from anytime a circle pulls this way.
Good grief, this Big Man squad looking really strong, but punished by 100 Thieves. You come to Control, you catch the wrong end of a barrel from 100 Thieves, all lying in wait. 100 Thieves hasn't lost a fight here yet, and I don't think they're going to lose this one either. 3v2 now with Scythe and Big Man rotating to the other side of the building. 100 Thieves takes the high ground altogether as one. They know they need to control, and they're doing a great job of it. They could go back to back to back here. They could get 3 wins in an 8-map tourney, which not only will absolutely secure their ticket to Riyadh, but also send a message to the other teams. 100 Thieves is not to be trifled with. Another one goes down, and now it's Big Man on the run as Gabe's comes flying in. Big Man completely unaware who's going to be here in time, and because of it, Big Man Scythe out of here. I think the earliest exit we've seen from them yet, but you got to remember, Tiff, I think they still had 15 kills.
Yeah, okay, but can we talk about Gabe just barreling through control and just taking every fight with the most confidence I've ever seen out of anyone? This is something that eBait said. Gabe is a top 3 player in the game. Nobody's winning a 1 against him, and Team Scythe just was on the opposing end of a Gabe montage for them.
Well, here we go. We gave them a charge, a condition for execution. It's this team on your screen. You've got to win prison if you're going to keep dropping prison. Seemingly, they've won the roof, and because of that, they've got a decent amount of kills, and they made it to top 5. We've got 4 teams left. This is a zone that favors 100 Thieves currently. The moving zone will tell the story of who we think will win this. Look at where 100 Thieves is. They believe that they're able to play center zone here because everybody else is not inside of prison, and because of that, they're picking up kills in transition. Look at that. Gabe able to pick up on Rational off screen. Twisted Minds swinging in, cleaning up Nate Dogg. That's AG Global still in this, which is spelling massive boon to them. Even if they get wiped here, they're making top 5, getting a ton of points for their leaderboard. They were in 6 overall. Looks like rated last alive for that squad. 100 Thieves says, dang it, we didn't get the zone pull, but guess what? Everybody's trapped inside this building from our PA. We're into the new zone, and we're able to play, and Gabe's on 11, Tiff.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've got the heavy hitting squads that are pretty secure inside the top 7, but with that being said, Team Unrational still has a duo on the top of prison. They've hit their rotation. They need to play this to perfection. They've got the 1.4x multiplier, and we need more consistency. After those 5 initial maps, they're situated in 9th place, just a mere 7 points out of top 7. But we saw that Team 10x had a ton of kills throughout this map, but they've already fallen.
Yeah, a lot of math between these maps is going to determine who's looking really good and who's looking very much so in trouble. We're going to have to make big moves, but I'm still proud of the boys, Knight and Adrian, able to stay up and keep their dreams alive in this tournament. They've made it to top 3. Top 5 is the 1.4x, and here's the move. Twisted Minds fully eliminated. They've made it to top 2. They got to fight the behemoths of 100 Thieves, and guess who has player advantage? It's 100 Thieves. Who has high ground advantage? It's Unrational, Knight, and Adrian, with Unrational waiting in the lobby for them, but Knight finds an angle, takes down one. They're trading blows left, right, and center, but Knight has the high ground, pushes in, feels like he has advantage, cracks one. Can he get both? One goes down, can't get the second one. It is 100 Thieves over and over and over again. The zone pulls to control. It rotates to prison. 100 Thieves says, we don't care. We know we can win, and we will continue to do so. 100 Thieves are your victors yet again. But the story looking a bit brighter for Team Unrational, who was able to make it to top 2 with a decent amount of kills, Tiff.
I mean, hit him with the hat trick. That's just incredibly impressive, but even better for Team Unrational. I think Knight picking up a ton of those eliminations at the end is going to do work for them in turn with that 1.4x multiplier. So we could harp on 100 Thieves all day, but you're right. It's the story of the teams on the fringe in the bubble that have to secure their ticket to Riyadh if they want to compete for glory. I mean, granted, Knight played on Twisted Minds last year on LAN, top 3 performance in Riyadh, and now is just even trying to claw his way back to get a chance to compete on that stage with a different roster this year.
Yeah, I could talk so long about this Unrational team, but there is still the onus of responsibility. The ball is in their court. They've got to keep pushing. This will put them right there on the fringe, but they cannot let off the gas because the rest of the teams on the fringe absolutely are not. You got to think about Team 6, AG Global. They were able to make it to top 5 with a decent amount of points as well. Scumming probably on double-digit eliminations by himself. This is going to be so dang close right there on the fringe, Tiff. We're going to take a very short break here in the booth. Folks at home, you are not going to want to miss these last 2 maps. If you're a fan of one of these teams, they probably have not qualified yet, and if they have, that means they're 100 Thieves or VP, because good grief, that team is dominating. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in just a moment. Well, it's been a dang good afternoon. This is the North American Esports World Cup qualifiers here in 2025, and the road to EWC has been rocky for some thus far, Tiff. We are 3/4 of the way through this tournament, and some teams have finally begun to find their footing, and the question is it a little bit too late? Let's take a look at that last map and the scores from that last map. Take me through it. Another banger from 100 Thieves. They are unstoppable.
Is 38.4 the biggest map of the day, or was it map number 5 for them? Because they had 25 kills and 40 points in map 5. 24 kills with a 1.6 is going to give them 38.4. This is just insane. But you look at the second place team. Now, this is where what we were looking for, right? We were talking about how much Tenix, Sucra, and LOM had. They had a ton of kills, 20 in particular. They were the team prior to this match that were in 7th place. Everyone was looking to hunt them down and evict them from that so they could stamp their ticket to Riyadh. So we've put that charge out for the teams that were on the fringe and said, hey, it's do or die. There's only 2 maps left. Show us what you've got. So a second place finish with 20 kills is everything, but the same can be said for Unrational.
Yeah, Unrational team, a big map. Finally, they got it. Let's take a look at the overall and see where it lands them, because again, we only care about the fringe. 100 Thieves has moved all the way up to 1st place. You can see the rest of them all the way down, but look at AG Global. Another great map from them has put them up into 5th. FJC, the winners of map 1, who have had a great day. Unfortunately, the last couple maps have been played spoiler 2 by Twisted Minds and other folks rotating up from that factory side. So they're all the way down in 6th at risk of potentially not qualing. Pilos has moved up all the way to maintain a position in 7th, but also close the gap on 6th. And then there's the drop off. Now, an 11-point drop off, that's pretty easy to overcome in theory. The question is, who's going to be able to do it? Is Team Unrational, they've got enough momentum, enough wind in their sails that they're going to be able to push up into qualifying the next 2? S8UL, they've been contested by the team that's a couple places below them over and over and over again. And it's the same story we talked about during the EU broadcast. If you've got 3 or even 2 sometime teams landing in the exact same POI, contesting each other over and over again, neither of them, or all 3 of them in the case of the EU, are not going to qual. And right now, that's the case for S8UL and Team Vonbot. I don't know what's going to happen with that back and forth, or if they're going to change anything in the last quarter of this tournament, the last 2 maps. I doubt it, but S8UL needs to make a change, or just frankly win faster in that fight to potentially make it to land here in a couple weeks, a couple months.
Yeah, I mean, but even in the last map, they tried something different. They had Riyadh go to the submarine, Kate that anchor position, constantly have that resurgence timer cut down for them so they could go back to bio and keep challenging Team Vonbot. But here's the deal. We're out of time. We got 2 maps to go, and on those points, they're just going to keep on separating. And now you've got teams like Team Unrational that have unseated you and have taken over 8th place and are 11 points away from 7th. So we are down to the final maps of our EWC Call of Duty Warzone qualifiers. We are the final region. We are shoring up what that lobby on LAN is going to look like. And, well, if you're not in the top 7, you need to get there after this game.
It's always, the ball is in their court. They got to figure out if they're going to pivot or they got to do the exact same thing. Here's a look, by the way, at the circle. Yet again, looking very nice for people like 100 Thieves landing control. There's going to be your green 5. Sight, Big Man Anxiety, they're going to be that number 3, landing Stronghold. Living Quarters looking still fairly free for the like of our flanked J-Tech and Clumsy squad. Pretty wide open. So a lot of the same for a lot of our teams. Some of the other spots, as per the usual, fairly hotly contested.
Ooh, okay. Just keeping their eyes out. Now, this is what I was worried about, right? Because if this team goes out early, gets that 1x multiplier, it opens the door for Team Unrational. So, you know, throughout all the scrims, everyone is really familiar with the fighting styles and the positioning that teams have been playing throughout these matches, right? Throughout the qualifiers. So, if they're going to consistently run into each other, well, then you know it. Especially with S8UL taking the challenge. Brax with a shoddy in a stairway. Doesn't matter. Little Mario, 5 HP in a dream, racks up 2 kills. Now, you do have Trick on that lower floor, finally entering the building, but this just needs, we need to wave the white flag. We just got to get out of here. S8UL, just call it quits. Go somewhere else, anywhere else.
It's the same story for Vonbot, seeing they're technically below them on the leaderboard. Both these teams struggling so hard because of this fight in bio. You're right, though. Trick is able to stay alive long enough to be able to get one player back onto the map. They're going to decide to chow. That'll be an interesting fight. We'll see what happens to him later. Pay attention to that kill feed. It looks like Trick was taken out. They're third, able to stay alive for a moment. I think they're still up, but 10x's squad, again, this team 13th overall during the qualifiers leading up to this stage, and now a chance to go to LAN and a chance to represent their country. Really excited to see what they're able to do as we head back to VP. It looks like I don't know why Intex and Co came back to Chemical. That's just the wrong choice. Virtus Pro is here. They're going to stay here. This is not a place for you to regain. Good luck. And because of that, they're getting ripped out of the sky or ripped on landing. They're in trouble now as VP has nothing to lose by taking this fight, and you've got everything to lose. And another story down there in Stronghold for some of the teams on Fringe site, Big Man Anxiety. You're going to see them on LAN. Sage gets a body shield for a moment and then moves on. But even still, this is a rough one for Scopes and Co.
Well, they're trying from different angles, right? They land on 10x, who is across the way, the complete opposite side of where VP is currently situated. It's talked about that we can't get a regain on this map in general. It's very difficult, and quite frankly, there's not a lot of areas on Rebirth right now that are available to have a solid regain. Maybe over at docks on the big ship, there's a buy station over there, but we'll just have to wait and see, because can they stand that long?
Great shots here from Devo. Fortunately, Sucre makes a perfect play to come up from behind, clean him up and get the trade. Going to continue to hold down this position. Somebody tries to land on him, and that's Trick. Not a place to regain either, my friend. Sucre was ready for you, heard you flying in. Nice and easy cleanup. Another freebie. S8UL just trying anything in their books to stay alive. I think they were able to rotate inside Industrial for a moment. I don't know if they're the only team in there, though, so you got to be careful. Brown Luke Car 98, not a bad one. As it looks like APG near the bottom of the leaderboard, really struggling today. Alpha Pro Gaming haven't gotten a ton of 38 kills in total, I think, across 6 maps. And they've tried to restabilize on the outside of Industry as well. 100 Thieves after a couple wins, as per the usual. Skullface is hanging out on top of Control. Blast and Gaves are getting mixy on top of Prison, Headquarters, everywhere in between. Potentially giving away kills to the likes of AG Global and otherwise.
Oh, okay, Nate. Well, regardless, Gabe's gonna take that one. Ghost, now, correct me if I'm misunderstanding this, but I think Team Unrational is actually the team that was the first one out of this lobby.
No,
I don't see them anywhere.
Yeah, say it ain't so. Tiff, that is 100% correct. The yellow marker that is Team Unrational, after all that momentum was in their sails, the wind carrying them forward, they caught up to the rest of the ships in the ocean race that I'm describing, and yet their ship has exploded. I don't know what else to describe it as. First team out is so brutal for them. They've got to have a monster game in the last map to make sure they qualify. As a reminder, they were in 8th going into this one, Tiff. So they're going to, at least at the best case scenario, remain 8th. And likely drop down to 9th or 10th, if not a bit further, with how close these teams are to each other. A great call out, a great read, and unfortunate for them, a lot of time to think about what to do in the last map.
That one hurts, I'm not gonna lie, but this squad on your screen, JTech flanked Clumsy, currently situated in 6th place overall. Now, mind you, they opened up our series with a map 1 win with 28.8 points. Now, they haven't really found too much success throughout it, but it's okay because they've been consistent enough to remain in the top 7, and where they've been playing on the map has been where these heavy hitting squads are, similar to the effect that Intex has been feeling.
That's a really good shout. And this is just such a hard team to fight. It does look like, yet again, Twisted Minds trying to come in and play spoiler for this FJC squad. And this time, it looks like Clumsy was able to make quick work of 2 parts of Twisted Minds, which is a nice little boon. Nate Dogg, AG Global, trying to get into the mix, and is able to do so. My goodness, LC10 hits like a truck. There's a reason most people are using it, and because of that, we lose Clumsy.
Oh? Okay. Blast here, you can see he's got tempered, only 2 plates to pep on back to full. No kills just yet, but 436 damage and playing alongside his teammates incredibly well. We jump on over to yet again another Fringe team that can capitalize on the fact that Unrational squad is not in the lobby. Now that we finally have kind of gotten it all together, all 3 players on the team up, but Blast Jumps through the fire, holding down this area. Can we get on over? I love when I see people go underneath this and kind of filter through the staircases, but they're just playing with each other at this point. Who's going to take the first?
And here's the thing, this fight really only matters for AG Global. AG Global wants every kill that they can get their hands on to make sure they qualify. 100 is absolutely is qualifying. There's 2 maps left. They're at the top of the leaderboard. They have a disgusting amount of points in Blast. Good grief, rated. Sorry, dude, you peeked for a hair too long. Blast, a perfect read. This time, though, doesn't read Nate Dogg, having rotated to high ground. A great call out from Rated, I'm sure. Nate Dogg is able to get the cleanup. A crazy play from Blast, but it ultimately doesn't all matter very much at all. Luckily, of course, Skullface is just hanging out on control, making sure his teammates can continue to revive. That's what Anchor is, by the way. I saw a couple people asking. The Anchor is somebody that basically just hangs out in a safe position and makes sure they stays alive. Because this is Resurgence. People are coming back onto the map quickly as long as you have somebody on the map alive on your team.
Definitely. And DJ Moss here can't get through the window because it's Devo, Sway, Tappa that are still piecing them apart. Nate Dogg finally sets their sights on to Team Tenix, which is one of those fringe teams that also needs a strong performance like they had in map number 6. And Jackal trying to find some angles. It's Devo from the top ropes, and he's got the molly in hand, jumps into it a bit, still takes down Jackal. Make the best out of a sketchy situation.
Unfortunately, these are the highest level players in Warzone, but sometimes a weird move, a wrong move, a miscue makes you look silly, and that's exactly what happened on main there. Unfortunately, just couldn't get a handle on the window or where his opponent was. Shot in the back. It looks like Scythe, Big Man, Anxiety, they've held Stronghold quite well. They're nice and safe, just trying to get some picks. So back to Devo, Sway, and Tappa. Who desperately need a big game. They were in 10th going into this one, Tiff, and they've got a pretty good game going if they can all stay alive right now. So far, it's Senior Citizens, last remaining player, I believe, Breadman, in the water, just trying to stay up for a moment to keep his team in this game. And Brett, he is undefeated in the water for the most part. I gotta say, that's a nice kill as Senior Citizens restabilized to some degree, playing edge of zone. It's not completely without question that this team could qual, but they need to win this game, and they need to do it with like 25 kills.
You know, you can't really count out a roster that has Huskers on it because you never know what you're going to get. And Scummin on 7, yet again, being consistent. But this team, what were they situated in? I believe 5th place overall. Yeah. And sure, that's not safe. They're still within striking distance of S8UL if they have a massive game and even if Unrational comes back. But what they're doing is they're mitigating the risk of someone taking their spot inside that top 7 by having, yet again, a banger match. So between Scummin and Rated alone, you're situated with double-digit kills. And quite frankly, we're still in that 1x multi. So we need to play the long game now.
Yeah, and you could talk about all 3 players on AG Global's team a lot. Scummin, of course, is kind of the one that everybody talks about because of his slaying power. That is the case for most of these teams. The Slayer, the top fragger, the Intraman, usually going to be talked about the most, but the Anchor is just as important. The Slayer couldn't get as aggressive and get as many kills if there wasn't somebody staying alive. So shout out to all of AG Global. What they've been able to do this tournament thus far is pretty impressive. Job's not done. Believe, in trouble, able to pick up one potentially, tries to swim away, just picking up for any fringe kills he can get so they have a chance to potentially make it. They are in last going into this map, and there's only one more map after this. Same story. They need to win with 25 kills to even have a chance here to make it to land. We got a lot of work to do on this leaderboard. Twisted Minds is out of here, by the way. So let's talk about a score sponge. Twisted Minds, not 1,000% going to make it to land, but probably. They're in top 4 going into these last 2 maps. They get wiped very early in this map, which is not great for their score totals, and it's fantastic for the teams on the fringe that need more points on the board. Still 11 full teams still in this lobby. 3 teams fully eliminated. Little Mario Squad having a great one as well, based on the kills that we saw from their 3.
Okay, Scopes Believe. You can see them just down below Team Tenix. Sucre right here on 6. Mind you, their biggest game of the day was in map number 6 with 20 kills, a 28-point game. When we asked these teams, hey, if you want to go to Riyadh, if you want to compete on that massive stage for the glory, which quite frankly, I've heard it's one of the sickest lands from the players' perspectives. They've had such an astounding time. If you want to go and experience that, you got like 2 maps to make it happen.
Shout out to Puerto Rico. They are crushing it right now. The team on your screen. Sucre, Tenix. It looks like Believe's going to be able to play spoiler from behind, able to pick up 1. And wow, as much as I was saying they crushed it, all of a sudden, everyone collapses on them. They had a banger map going, and they fall in 11th. They're not going to get a single multiplier for this game. What a turn of events for that squad. They were doing fantastic, and all of a sudden, they are looking very frustratedly at those multipliers, thinking, man, we had a lot of kills. Wish we could have gotten some extra points just from staying alive for one more place. APG still up a little bit with a couple kills to boot. Again, they're in 13th. They got a lot of work to do. They've been able to make it into a multiplier yet again. They've been able to make it to around 10th or so every time, just not a ton of kills. AG Global, though, has high ground on Prison. The problem with it is they're going to have to move off of it, moving into New, which is wide out in the open, in a place we've seen zones end so often on Rebirth Island recently. Not a lot of cover. Let's see who moves first. Let's see who gets punished for it.
All right, VP down. I see Senior Citizens Huskers lurking down below, and Scummins sets his sights on to Team Vonbot, but gets shredded in return. A little bit of chaos, a little bit of madness that we're experiencing here, and VP tries to cross through the open, through the weapon trading stations we go. Money, cash, UAV, that information that we need for a last-minute rotate. But here's the deal. We're into the top 5. It's a 1.4x, and 100 Thieves is all up. Will it be another one for them?
There's no way. There's no way. I know they're good, and I know they're getting good zone pulls, but 4 would be ridiculous, and they've got a really good position right now. You can see, of course, Lovedon and Husker still alive for Senior Citizens, playing the low ground. 100 Thieves right above them. It's AG Global trying to seal their ticket now. They're not going to rely on their last game. If AG Global keeps racking up the kills that we're seeing right now, they're able to actually drop Blast, which is huge for them, and they've got high ground position. But a trade back, it looks like Skullface headshot on Rated is out of here. So all of a sudden, AG Global is not on the table. They get the 1.4x and still a decent game, likely in a good position to go to land, but job's not done as Senior Citizens making a late game push around the corner immediately get punished. There's really nowhere for them to go. 100 Thieves has position, but Devo is last alive for his team playing spoiler. Gabe versus 1 on the other side. It's Gabe versus Huskers. Gabe wins it. Devo tries to swing up. Could 100 Thieves win it all again? 4, or is Gabe going to swing way out into the gas and make a play with his self-revive? Potentially make a play for this fight. Doesn't want to give a kill away potentially to his opponents. Unreal. Devo, when they needed it most, 10th going into this map, Tiff, should win it right here. Gabe's going to eventually die to gas and just try to maintain position as long as he can. Wait, he's going to make a move. Yeah, no chance. 1 bullet will do the dream. There was a moment there where I thought 100 Thieves could do it because they've done it 3 times in a row, but this time a different story. Sway, Tappa, Devo, they needed it bad, and they were able to do it. 10th place going into this map, getting a win with a ton of kills to boot. Woo, we might see this team on land. It's going to be close.
It's coming down to the final game, Goj. The stories that are writing themselves, the teams that are looking to lock it in. You're right, they were in 10th place coming into match number 7. I believe it was situated around 50 points. But if you remember, that 7th place, that benchmark that we're looking for, is about 84 points moving into this game. So we have to jump up north of 30 points. But if you're going to do that, that 1.6x is going to give you the best chance of making that happen.
I think they got around 30 points. The problem is most of the teams on the fringe are going to move up.
Yeah.
The teams, namely, that's not. Team Unrational did drop down quite quickly in that one. I think the first team out with maybe only a couple kills or 2. So you're going to see that team. They got to go for broke in this last one to try to make a play. It's so dang close on the fringe, Tiff. Of course, 100 Thieves, the best team on paper today. No questions asked. First, second in a row is unbelievable from this team. They've been getting really good zone pulls, and they've been able to execute. I think Gabe had another like 12 kill game. Guy's got to be top fragger on the day. But the story for this last map has to be all eyes on the fringe. SAUL, where were they? Did they have any kills in that game? I have no idea. I think they made it to maybe top 8, top 9. I don't know where they're at. Irrational's going to drop. This team's going to jump way up. There's so many storylines, and I'm really pumped to get into this last map to see how it all lands. Any words of wisdom? Any final thoughts going into this last one before we take our break here, Tiff?
I mean, if 100 Thieves is starting to tout a potential 50% win rate in an 8-game series, you know there's only one other team that's really been able to achieve that. Sure, they're not in our qualifiers today. They might be in the Falcons' nest already locking their ticket to Riyadh, but we're looking for competitors that can potentially hold a candle to the Falcons, and 100 Thieves, they're showing out.
They're showing out today, and a lot more work to do on land. We'll likely be seeing them. Only one map to go. The last chance for any of these teams to earn a spot to Riyadh, to earn their spot in the Esports World Cup. Don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss this last map.
So now it's time to fly. So now it's time to fly. Nothing's gonna stop me now. 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 Nothing's gonna stop me Nothing's gonna stop me now.
3, 2, 1, go. Three, two, one, go.
Welcome back to the North American Esports World Cup Qualifiers 2025. The last map is here, Tiff. And before we jump into it, of course, we have to take a look at the scores from the last map because our seventh map was a doozy. I gotta say, it's not what I expected to see. Frankly, I mean, taking a look at these scores, the big one that pops out to me, AG Global, who was on the fringe already. I think they were in 4th or 5th overall going into this last one. They dropped another banger, so we're likely going to see them on LAN. But look at that Sway Tappa Devo squad at the top. A 25.6 point game, certainly going to help them out. But you got to remember, they were in 10th going in to this last map, and so 25 points, great, but I don't think they're even going to be top 7 moving into the last game, so they got to do it again.
Yeah, the tough part is you've got Team 10X down there in 6th place, right? They fell outside of that 1.4x multiplier. They only grabbed a 1.2, but 17 kills. Like, how insane is that? This is the level that I'm saying. Like, this is a roster that has just been, okay, look, we understand we don't want to go into map number 8 and just have to potentially fall out or fight for everything to get to LAN. So dropping 17 kills is just insurmountable in terms of the leaderboard. Now, granted, I'd love to see the overall, because were they able to maybe move on up into 6th place, or are they still the cutoff? They are with 101.4 points. They are the benchmark that everyone, even your map 7 winner, Sway Tappa Devo, trying to get to, which is just around 25 points for them. So even after that win with a 25.6 game, they're still only in 9th place.
Yeah, let me set the scene here a little bit, because Tiff, this is where things get real weird. Yeah, the teams on Fringe, 8, 9, 10, they're within 4 points of each other. Here's the problem. They are 23 points behind Pilos in 7th. 23 points. The chances of one of these 3 teams dropping out and pushing into the qualified top 7. Pilos, FJC, Twisted Minds even theoretically, but really all eyes on FJC or Pilos. They need to be cooked early. I'm talking immediately. They need to get 0 to 5 points in total. And then one of these 3 teams in 8th, 9th, or 10th has to win the game or have the most kills. That is the only way we don't already have our top 7 making LAN. And that is so exciting to me because we've got to pay attention to really just 5 teams on this leaderboard to see who goes to LAN and who doesn't. Our top 5 teams on our leaderboard, AG Global, they've basically already done it. They were able to book their ticket in this last game with a great map. And because of that, it's FJC. They're in 6th potentially. It's Pilos in 7th. They need a decent game. They don't even need a good game to maintain position. And then it's S8UL, Sway Tapadivo, and Team Unrational that all of them need to win the game, or at the very least get top 5 with a crazy amount of kills. It's the only way they're making LAN.
That's scary. Like, that is not like... Just imagine, because there's a lot that rides on this, right? Because everyone has been gearing up for the past couple of months, putting rosters together, going through the gauntlet of the qualifiers off screen, bringing it to the finals here, the final region of North America, the final game. This determines everything, Goj.
This is everything, and yet again, we have a southwestern zone. This is the same zone we've seen the last couple maps, and yet again, it looks like some early contests, as it looks like Devo and Tappa get a quick kill on one, and we swing over to Tnix and Co, who are getting a quick kill on another. So overall trading of blows, but even still, both these 2 teams still jockeying for position for the most part. This squad in a much better position, though, just trying to play a little bit of defense, get a decent game on the board. We're going to see them on LAN. Puerto Rico could be represented in the Esports World Cup through that squad if they're able to put up a decent game. And then we go to Bio, which is just honestly a sad story. Both of these 2 teams still fighting for position on this leaderboard. S8UL really the only team that could potentially make LAN still, but they need to not only win this fight, but they need to win the map. And that's a tall task based on the history of what we've seen in this tournament.
Especially when you've got senior citizens that are deciding, hey, you know, what's going on over there? And a couple players getting taken out from that roster. Now, I don't see them right now at Bio, so maybe they've been sussed out, but Team VonBot and Team S8UL have just been going back and forth, and it's just wild. But we just see JTech get absolutely leveled by Rated there from across the map. But wait, whoa, see that timeline right now?
Yeah, what?
Hello?
S8UL just killed like 8 people. I don't know what just happened in the kill feed. That was wild. One of the other things, though, unfortunately, a bad day continues to stay bad for what looks like Alpha Pro Gaming. APG is our first team that's fully eliminated. That's going to be that DJ Moss squad. They've been ups and downs, and today was certainly a lot of downs. Love those guys a ton. Unfortunately, they are out of here. We're going to keep calling out teams that are fully eliminated because that will go to show who's making LAN and who is not. It will matter for some. It'll matter even more for others. Twisted Minds is taking no prisoners. They are cutting down anybody in their path, and one of the teams in their path is one of the teams that we need to win if we want to see them on LAN. And right now, it's not looking good for Team Unrational.
Oh, not that way. That's not how we're gonna fall. Hopefully the self-res comes through. We don't get fooled, but if you're Team Unrational and you have found yourself surrounded by teams that have won maps, including FJC on your screen, you've got Team Scythe just neighboring, and it's just sheer, utter chaos. But back to Bio we go. This is one of those fights that is going to go on since the dawn of time, and I don't think any of these players are going to win and be like, yeah, hey, remember that time and the close calls for North America and EWC to determine where we're gonna go? Yeah, maybe we should have called it quits 5 maps ago.
Well, Red is on 5, so at the very least, I mean, we saw them line up the kill feed earlier. They seemingly have won the fight, which is what they need to do. Unfortunately, Correct comes in and continues to play spoiler. Now, unfortunately, oh no, Team 7, Team Unrational, fully eliminated. The story of this team, they caught some momentum starting the second half. They are out of here. They will not be making LAN. So really, one of the only teams that could potentially still cut into that top 7 is going to be that S8UL squad. We got to keep an eye on them as much as we can. Of course, this team on your screen right now, another team that if they had an absolute banger, maybe, but they're 10 points behind S8UL is that VonBot squad. So I can't imagine it. And then you needed this squad right here, flanked, Clumsy, JTech, to have a really bad game if you want to break into the spot. They're in 6th overall, and it's not looking like they're having a great game, but it doesn't look like they're having a bad one either, as Twisted Mind's trying to come in and play spoiler, and JTech's trying to get a couple kills.
Look, I mean, it's very possible that someone can completely wipe this squad here, as you see Flanked go down at the hands of Z Smith. Sure, you can see that happening, and we slide on in. We take down JTech. One more to go, but that player's already ran. They're gone. They are trying to get their team back on in. But I also don't want to count out Sway, Tappa, and Devo. Your match 7 winners. They're only 2 points back from that 8th place roster of S8UL. So they could very well make it happen.
Oh, good grief, Scummin. You're doing that on main against Z-Smith? Talking about some Omni movement plays. My goodness. Swings outside the window, dives over, picks up Z, and stays alive. Whew, there's a reason AG Global is going to be making it to land today. They are cooking, and mainly on the back of the slaying power of Scummin. Big Man thinks there's somebody over here. Yeah, he was right. Nice find. Picks up one, Clumsy. I guess you thought you were safe, and that's absolutely not the case. Big Man spotted you in the water and said, let me come get this kill real quick. Oh, no. JTech out of here. Flank. JTech Clumsy. Full wipe with Big Man spotting one in the water, which means there is a window of opportunity for S8UL and potentially that Sway Tappa Devo squad to break in with FJC, the winner of the first map, getting cut down and out of this lobby.
They need more than 25 points, and that doesn't account for anything that FJC would have acquired. But 25 points would be potentially that territory. So if we can get north of 30, there's a good chance that we can steal our ticket to Riyadh. But this squad here, they have been, we called them the Reapers earlier, and quite frankly, he's given me a little anxiety living up to that name and the way that they are just throwing down in this lobby. They're creating that chaos that those fringe teams can't afford.
And again, we got to keep an eye on, this is really the only other squad that's holding the line inside the top 7, right? This is the team in 7th place overall, Pilos, with 10X and Co, representing Puerto Rico, having a pretty solid game. Their competition, FJC, has been fully eliminated with probably only 5 or 6 points, which will put our kind of metric for success about what we expected. Around 110 is the metric to qualify. So you're going to need a huge game out of some of our other squads. You can see Brack still alive off in the distance. S8UL in that pink salmon color, number 9. That's one of the teams that could do it. The Elam is going to leave nothing up to chance. Any kills that he can get is a huge boon for him. And he's fighting Devo's squad, the only other team that has a chance to make it. They don't have a chance to make it when Senior Citizen comes in. Mr. Huskers himself cleans up at least one, if not multiple, as they're still fighting for every point they can get on the board.
Well, S8UL, they're coming on into the same with Sway, Tappa, and Devo. All the fringe teams are just basically hitting each other so hard here, and that's terrifying, knowing that Sway just turned around, focused directly onto S8UL, and quite frankly, only remnants of these rosters are on the board here for Rebirth Island.
Senior Citizens trying to make whatever they can out of the situation. My goodness, why is there 500 people on this shack over at the water? This is the drop spot of a couple teams. They tried to pivot out. 10X's squad eventually laid claim to it, and now all of a sudden, Senior Citizens is the one, I think, technically winning out on this position. But yet again, the zone pulls further and further down towards Stronghold, and because of that, we got to move yet again. Loved it. They're getting some momentum, cutting down some teams ahead of them on the leaderboard. It's too little too late, most likely, but even still, put on a show for us, Senior Citizens. We want to see it.
They would need 50 points. So you know what they can do? They can just wreak havoc. They can completely run this lobby down, but Devo, Sway, Tappa, there is a chance. Now, you're going to have to be perfect. You're going to need a 1.6, and you're going to need to play like that.
That's a big kill. 10X is out of here. Squad 13 out of nowhere. Pilos is gone. There is a window of opportunity for a team to jump up this leaderboard. FJC in 6th, Pilos in 7th, both out of this lobby as 2 of our first 4 teams that are out of this map. Unbelievable. A moment for some of these other teams to capitalize on it, and this is one of those squads. Devo, Sway, they are getting turned on by the Senior Citizens, and all of a sudden in trouble. Huskers going for broke right now, because what else is there when you're near the bottom of the leaderboard and you're on the last map?
Okay, big man squad coming back on in, straight onto Twisted Minds, and you can see Aiden taking the chow onto Anxiety, filters on up through the staircase, and Aiden is laying chase. He just jumps out the window, and we are going for the long haul, doesn't check that in. Anxiety Takes down
Jeez.
Aiden.
Anxiety's not missing right now. Really crushing it. Again, this team is quality. You're seeing them on land. I don't care what you think about them. They've made it. And VP is reaping this lobby. I think I saw 19 kills already from Virtus Pro, if I'm reading that correctly. We'll get a read on that later. It doesn't ultimately matter besides that point sponge we're talking about. How hard is it for some of these teams to get a ton of points when most of the points are going to a team that's already inside the top 3? S8UL still on the map, by the way, still doing well on the map, picking up kill after kill. There's a chance they could do it. The 2 teams they needed to fall early have fallen. There is a window of opportunity for S8UL, and I would say there's a window of opportunity for Devo and Tappa, but they are out of here as well. Bye-bye, Sway, Tappa, Devo. You had a great last map. Unfortunately, couldn't replicate it. Because of that, we will likely not see you on land as you've fallen in 7th place, and we're into the end game.
Well, Senior Citizens are also out of it. We're looking for that 1.4x multiplier. Now, S8UL, you think about Riyadh, had 5 kills before leaving Bio. So, yes, Twisted Minds on your screen as a trio, just kind of barricading their way just on the south side of headquarters. You get the lay of the land, and you can see you got Team Scythe out there in the distance. I believe Nate Dogg is just in between them. 100 Thieves are living in control, which they know and love, and it's their favorite building. So congratulations to them being safe up there at the top of the leaderboard.
A lot of fights happening, and right now it looks like AG Global is out of here. They're still making land. They've made it to top 6. A great effort from them, but they are gone. And it looks like Twisted Minds and VP are fighting for top of prison. 100 Thieves still alive. There's a reason these are our top 3 teams. Sight Big Man still in it, I believe, as well. Top 4 teams on the leaderboard are all still alive inside the top 5. And the question is, who's the last team? Virtus Pro making a statement, taking down Twisted Minds in the final map. We're down to the final 4 teams. One of them, 100 Thieves. One of them, it looks like, is Sight Big Man. The other, of course, Virtus Pro. But who's the 4th? It's S8UL. When they needed it most in the last map of the day, they have an opportunity to do something because the 2 teams that were barring their entry are gone, but they've got to go through 100 Thieves, and they are in a tough position to do so.
Well, you got Gabe, who's situated on 13 kills, holding the high ground, can really put a wrench into that. Now, granted, if we have cash, we can hit a buy station. You've got Brax up here at control.
no.
Unfortunately, not going to be able to do it. Skullface playing spoiler. Can Riyadh call in a Hail Mary from the water, get to a buy station, get the crew back? But regardless, the kills just aren't going to be there.
My goat, Riyadh, is the last alive for his team. You gotta pray that they had a decent amount of kills. The rest of this chaos, I know it's cool. It does matter in terms of egos, but it doesn't matter on the leaderboard. It doesn't matter who wins. It doesn't matter who gets 6. It's all about the top 7 overall in our fringe team. So Virtus Pro has taken down Sight Big Man Anxiety, and they had a great tournament. We'll talk about them in a bit. The final 3 teams, 100 Thieves with 3 players. Virtus Pro with 2, and a solo Riyadh looking for a Hail Mary win to potentially take them to land. It's all on the back of Riyadh. It's all that matters. And if these 2 teams fight each other, Riyadh could come in and play spoiler if they don't know where he is. If he plays slow enough, he has an opportunity, especially with some of these players falling. Virtus Pro is out, and unfortunately, he couldn't get into the equation fast enough. And because of it, 100 Thieves, all 3 alive. Riyadh is able to get 2nd, but 2nd doesn't give you any more than 5th. And 100 Thieves is absolutely inevitable. 100 Thieves are not only going to be at the top of the leaderboard, but they won half of our maps today. This is unbelievable. 100 Thieves, the best team on the map today. There is no question.
Yeah, that is just in pure insanity for 100 Thieves, and everything that you want when you're coming into EWC, when you're forging a roster, and as our orgs are massive organizations that are looking to compete for those club championship, right? That's what you want. You want your team to be at the top, to be the most formidable in that lobby. The thing is, we still have to get to LAN. You still have to play against all the other regions that have sent their teams to Riyadh, and there's still the reigning champs of EWC that are waiting in Riyadh for you.
I'd like everybody at home to take one big collective deep breath, because this is a nail-biter to the finish, and I wouldn't expect anything else from the North American region here for the road to EWC. These qualifiers have been super special, and there's one thing for certain: 100 Thieves, the best team today. Are they the best team overall? I don't know if you can say that, but winning half the maps in the qualifiers against most of the teams that you expect to be the top teams. No shade to any of our other regions. I'm an NA stan. I can say what I'm gonna say. okay? These are some of the top teams in the world, and to win half the maps is unbelievable. But we have to turn our eyes to the fringe. We have to turn our eyes to who we think could make LAN, and I gotta tip my hat to AG Global. On the back of Scum's slaying power, on the back of Rated being able to stay alive, that entire team really, really strong. Nate Dogg, a really great ad. I'm expecting them to make it to LAN with the map that we've seen on paper. The big question marks that are left remaining for us to discuss, Tiff, while our mathematicians behind the scenes are doing all of that math and getting us our leaderboard ready, is that flank squad. They win the first map, and they don't do much else from then on. They have some decent maps, they have some decent double-digit point totals, but nothing crazy, and because of that, they slowly slunk down the leaderboard to a point where they were in trouble. Same thing could be said about Pilos, except instead of an early game hot start and a slowdown, they picked up pace throughout the day, and because of that, they're able to make it into top 7, but just barely. Both of those teams fall around 10th to 14th. They're in the first 3 to 4 teams that are fully eliminated. So it depends on how many kills they had for how many points, of course, somebody like S8UL needs. The only team that could play spoiler to the top 7 right now is S8UL, right? Is able to make it to top 5, make it to second. I don't know that they had a ton of kills though. And because of that, I don't know if the math is mathing, and I'm going to let the admins do the work. But that's the scene that's set. It's 2 teams at risk and 1 team that could jump one of them. And I don't know which team will land where, but it's a dang good time to theorize about it while we wait on these scores. What a great day in the office, Tiff.
Yeah, I mean, if you have FJC, which was, I believe, what, 1.6 points ahead of Team Pilos, so that's really close. So I'm not feeling comfortable if I'm either, but I will say that Tenex, Sucra, and LLM, they were putting up so many kills in the final 3 matches and just doing everything. It's a shame that they weren't able to get some better multipliers alongside the kills that they were gathering towards the end, but that just goes to show you how much their slaying prowess was helping them on the course of the leaderboard. I believe moving into the final map on the day, they had 83 kills, which surpasses Twisted Minds in kills, surpasses FJC, and rivals AG Global.
Yeah, no, it's a really good shout. They absolutely slay. And it's one of the things we saw during the open quals. It's one of the things we've seen during scrims is that they frag out. They just have sometimes a hard time making it into those multipliers, which would have crept them up this leaderboard to where there wasn't even a question that they're making land. But a big shout out to these guys. Again, regardless of the leaderboard, wherever they land, this Tinnick squad from Puerto Rico, they were in 13th. They kind of barely made it here, scrapped by, and then all of a sudden turned it on in scrims and turned it on in the second half of this tournament. You're totally right. Had a great day. We'll see if it's enough. While we have a moment and our leaderboard is being finalized, let's take a look back on those 8 maps, because the story of the day we thought would be Virtus Pro. We of course thought 100 Thieves would be into the mix and a top 5 team absolutely from quals. But the story today was all 100 Thieves. 4 wins overall and a second place. Take me through those 8 maps and our winners from each of those maps to remind everybody at home, because I think the story will kind of tell itself as we go through them.
Yeah, and while 100 Thieves was able to win 50% of our maps today, it didn't really start off the strongest for them. I believe they were situated around 7th place in match number 1, but it was FJC that put up a 28-point game to kick things off, to get that initial confidence out of the way, but maybe it inflated it a bit too soon, because you think about where they were dropping, and quite frankly, it was nearby Team Scythe, who was looking real strong on the leaderboard in game fights on Rebirth today, and also Twisted Minds. They're kind of sandwiched throughout it. So a little difficult over there, but at least you kicked things off with an almost 30-point game. So love that energy out of them. But you move into map number 2 now. Things started to run away there, as I believe it was 100 Thieves that grabbed map number 2, the start of their dominance. They mirror FJC in terms of points and grab 28 for themselves and really shoot themselves up the leaderboard. So you start thinking, okay, cool. Yeah, you started off in 7th place in match number 1, but this is where we start that momentum moving forward. They want to be one of the first teams to hit triple digits, to hit that benchmark you were talking about, around 150 points or 15 points to stay safe. And then you think about 3rd. That's where Virtus Pro shows up. That's where we go chemical. That's where we hit that rotation. We go forward straight to Industries and then double on back to win in our drop spot POI. And a lot of that has to do with Dongy's gathering of information, using those weapon trading stations to grab UAVs, get advanced ups for the roster, and just let them fly. But gosh, I mean, we had so many dynamic games, because then it just goes into 100 Thieves for their back-to-back.
Yeah. Exactly, and I think that's a great shout. The first 3 really set the tone for this tournament, but the end of this tournament, this leaderboard was so dang close. And speaking of the leaderboard, it's the moment everybody's been waiting for. Let's see who qualifies to land. Let's see who qualifies to go to Riyadh. The road to EWC has ended. Who has made it? It was not enough. Sure, we see the dominance at the top, but look at the bottom. FJC barely creeps in just because of their map victory in map 1. They protected a spot by 3 points over SAUL. That is unreal. Of course, if Riyadh wins somehow as a solo, they make it. Of course, if they just get 2 more kills on the map with that multiplier, they're right there. It was so close, within reach. They didn't know how close, and I know that's gotta hurt so bad for SAUL. They come online in the last map, and frankly, it's the same story we told in EU. Shout out to Enigma and Dandro leading the charge during the European qualifiers, because it's the same story of headquarters, this time in bio. Both the teams dropping on each other, chalk each other, and do not make land. But let's celebrate our top 700 Thieves dominant performance. Virtus Pro, was there ever a question? Team Sight, the Young Guns, yeah, they've been playing together for 2.5 years, but Anxiety, he's just now able to compete in these big tournaments, just turned 18, and they crush it all day today from Stronghold, Twisted Minds. Was there ever a question? For a moment in that tourney, but they were able to turn it on and make sure to hold their position. AG Global came online in the second half tip. They crushed it on the back of Scum and Slaying Power. And then finally, Pilos FJC. They didn't have a good last map, but they did just enough, and that's all that matters. There's our top 7 moving on to LAN. We're going to be seeing them in Riyadh, and that does round out all 20 teams that earn their spot to LAN. And of course, the one missing, 21 make it. The Falcons, they won last year. Auto qual, we'll see them there for sure. And how will that shake things up? Tiff, what a great day in the office. What a great Warzone tournament as per the usual. What'd you think? Any final words for the broadcast?
It's just been insane to witness the level of caliber, right? And in knowing that they're going to compete on a stage across the world from us currently for EWC, for some of the largest prizing, for some of the most glory, and have a chance to take down the reigning champs. Like, I love that we were able to cast North America and just really round out all of the teams, be the final region, because you know all of the other regions that have competed over the past 2 days have just been watching. They're locked, they're all eyes on North America. Of course, you've got Pulse Check doing watch parties, just everyone keeping tabs on what this final lobby for LAN is gonna look like. It's been fun.
It's been a lot of fun. It was great casting all these games with you, Tiff. It was so much fun, and shout out to you and your family and all the success you guys have had. But folks at home, thank you for tuning in. The North American Esports World Cup qualifiers here in 2025, they didn't disappoint, that's for sure. Thanks for tuning into the broadcast. You're going to be seeing a lot more from the Esports World Cup in a number of different titles, and of course, Warzone on LAN in a couple months' time. 21 teams booked their ticket. You're not going to want to miss the insane event coming up down the line. Thanks for tuning in today. As a reminder, we couldn't do it without you, the viewer. Thanks to everybody behind the scenes. Tune in next time for the next Esports World Cup broadcast.
Three, two, one, go.